Now these players are screaming.
Oh yeah, that was our line. Got in trouble. What a random thing. I used to love that thing. The video file download was tied to my Amazon S3 account.
He can't hear me.
But they had them taken down, and I had to get them taken back up, so to speak.
Taken up?
Mm-hmm.
So Wirecast apparently does not allow you to set the output gain on a audio file. It just goes full boogie.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, so we just blew out everyone on the podcast.
Sorry, guys. So
To be
high.
fair, I did say that the bars were at 0 dB when you played back the first time.
Yeah, you're right, Ken.
Alan, will you get my phone that's plugged into that cable in the box right there? Yeah, an original iPod.
That's what we need.
I still have this issue. I don't hear anybody in my ear. Am I supposed to hear anybody in my ear yet?
Can you hear me now?
Check, check,
Can
check,
you
check,
hear me
check.
now?
I hear nobody.
Yeah.
Why can't you hear me?
How can you hear him?
I hear nothing.
Hear nothing.
You have an alarm telling you your podcast.
Good.
Now, how about I know what it is?
Now I hear it.
Hi, Josh.
Hi.
Hi, Josh. Did you hear me play Paradise City?
Yes, I sang to it.
It's a good song.
It's a pretty epic intro.
I believe in the early days of the podcast, I probably used that song as an intro.
Yes, you did.
I use Star Wars theme songs sometimes as the intro as well,
Welcome to the Jungle, I believe, was the first one.
which is a great intro song, right?
It is.
That's why all those NFL stadiums stole it from me after I started using it on my podcast.
Wait, that's not right.
Oh.
Now you have to license that song from the NFL.
You there, Sebastian?
I'm here.
Ah, okay. Somehow this got...
Does Mike stand further away from the thing this time?
Yeah, they get moved around because they get taken down for other stuff.
What the hell?
I don't think my video is working.
It's
do
not.
We have a picture of
All
a
right.
Donato's Pizza ad instead.
Stalker pick.
Donato's Pizza.
Also, it has
Alright.
the wrong name underneath it. I don't
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorting it out.
That's not Josh.
Sorting.
I totally don't have a pick.
Luther, you are correct. I have been complaining about the Windows 10 Start menu recently as well. If you hit Start and start typing, it doesn't type in. But if you hit Start and start again and start typing, it works. And it happens on my laptops and it happens on my PC.
I wouldn't know. I use Classic Shell.
I haven't had that issue that I've noticed.
I replaced my start menu with one that actually works a long time ago.
But it works
Boy,
fine
that looks
usually
terrible.
now. Yeah, your video did look terrible.
No, it's the thumbnail pulling off Skype. It's,
Bah.
yeah, it's being silly.
Guess I got to figure out what I want to
Microsoft needs to fix that shit.
tell people to buy.
I'm going to play this song right now anyway.
The Spyro Gyra? What was that?
I don't know. It's the one that Jim gave us.
The one that Jim...
It's the one that goes at the end of our videos.
Oh, so
This
that's
is
not
just an
Spyro
earlier
Gyra.
part
It
of
sounds like Spyro Gyra.
Oh,
But
this
it
is not
sounds-
the one that's at the end of our videos? Oh. That's the one I was thinking we were talking about before.
That's a very close to like Spyro Gyra style.
No idea what the hell you're talking about.
You wouldn't know.
Don't you always complain that you always say, I'm not that much older than you? And then you make comments like that? Oh, you wouldn't know. You kid.
You wouldn't know. Get off my lawn.
You're,
Oh,
you're 2
Josh.
years younger than me.
Josh, we figured out a fun fact this week.
You're only 2 years younger than
Oh,
me?
God. Let's hear it.
I was born on the same exact day that Windows 3.1 released.
Nice.
So
Now
there's
how
your
much older?
context. It's
Now, Josh, how
before
much older
Win
do you feel,
3.1 and
Josh?
after Win 3.1.
I
feel pretty old because I remember in 1989 a friend of mine got Windows 3.0.
I was
And in
installing
92,
operating
I
systems
got
before you were
3.1.
born, kid.
Quite literally.
Quite literally.
Does the cell still haven't finished?
This is the one I thought we were decided on before. This is the one that's at the end of our videos.
Yeah.
What's that? Sweet.
This is catchy enough for people to actually watch all the way through to the end no matter what, just so that they can get to this video.
Well, then we should make our exits of our videos, what are they now, 10 seconds, 20 seconds?
30 seconds. I
30?
think.
Make them 90.
Then you got to go through and re-edit the outro.
Sebastian, your
sliders.
lighting is poor.
You're poor.
Oh, snap.
Your mother's poor.
Zing! Oh, true. Hey now.
Wow, I see well-wrapped boxes in the background there.
Are we live yet? Can we go
We
live?
are.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we are live?
Oh,
Okay.
I need to run the audio though.
We're not live?
We're
live.
We're live on video. I didn't run butt yet though. Butt's running now. You can hear it.
It doesn't have levels.
Fire up your butt.
What? Oh, son of a...
Son of a butt.
This thing just gets all sorts of dumb.
I've only seen it break twice in like the 2.5 years we've been using it.
Did your butt crash, Alex?
Yeah, my butt crashed.
Oh man, I hate it when that happens.
Yeah.
You know it doesn't get old. Anybody want to guess? Anybody
Anyone?
want to guess?
Anyone? Sebastian, what'd you got?
Freshmen stay the same
What are you-
age.
He left again.
man.
Sebastian, don't worry about your audio that much.
that's
It doesn't
the
matter
wrong
what Alan
Josh.
thinks.
What?
Hey, my audio is fine. It's the lighting that's bad. allegedly.
Whatever I meant to say.
Oh god, you look like Two-Face.
Yeah, now it's too harsh.
I need to update my.
Could you just put yourself inside a light box?
And by Two-Face, I mean you look like Tom Hardy.
It's
Yes, I
Tom
could
Hardy.
do that.
It's PC per 0A4-20, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I feel like Sebastian's in a French film.
Wait. Alan, what were you just saying on a hot mic?
Or
That's-
affiliate code.
That's the affiliate code.
Oh, okay.
That is not a password to anything.
So if you thought he
not a
was, if you
secret.
thought he was mentioning a password, you probably shouldn't bring it up.
Yeah, that's true too.
Cat's already out of the bag.
Hey Ryan, that affiliate
Alan,
code.
was that your social security number?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
sounded like your social security number.
You got a
play it-
vanity
I'm such
social
an
security
instant
number.
I'm such a
feature
geek.
now.
My social is in hex. Yes.
Oh.
They don't appreciate that at the DMV.
No, they don't.
Better than binary. Like trying to go to the DMV with the Japanese VIN.
Yeah, Xmas. YouTube is a couple seconds behind Twitch. That's normal now. We're not using their ultra latency stuff because the first week we tried it, a couple people had issues. So we're just gonna we'll try to get another month or two.
I mean, they might have fixed it by now. I'm sure.
We'll let somebody else determine that for a little bit. I mean, usually we're it, but Josh, I do not have any picks from the Global Foundries talks.
Yeah, kind of figured that.
Okay.
Took care of it.
Did you reuse the one with the Threadripper?
I do like that tweet you put in the Slack there, Josh. Are you a
Yes.
math textbook? Yeah, that's pretty good. Bacon double cheeseburger Pop-Tarts does not sound good.
I think it sounds amazing.
No, Pop-Tarts and bacon cheeseburger? No.
Yeah. Why not?
I
No.
mean,
It's like beef Wellington, but trashier.
Beef Wellington doesn't have like fruit in it.
It doesn't have like jelly.
There's no jelly in that either.
There's jelly
Pop-Tarts?
inside a Pop-Tart. There's like jam. It's like fruit filling in a Pop-Tart.
Yeah, but it's like that, but it's got meat in it.
But you're literally wrapping them in physical Pop-Tarts, right?
No.
Oh, is that not what I only read the titles.
Oh, well, that's your problem.
Explains many things.
Ryan, I bet you're one of those people who didn't like the McGriddles with maple syrup either.
No, I did. I just forced myself to stop buying them because I didn't want to die at 39.
Yes, I'm pretty sure I took
Yeah.
a few years off my life with those things.
They are
So
excellent.
that's the guy who brings in McDonald's every other day. Regardless.
I don't bring in McGriddles though, even though you can get them all day now.
That's true.
Somehow
If
I don't think your Big Mac versus McGriddle is going to change your life expectancy.
It is a battle of freaking willpower at that drive-through not to pick up a couple of McGriddles.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
I never had one.
Really?
Man,
I probably haven't had one in
Ken?
3 to 4 years.
I'm
do
sure
yourself
I'd be
a favor,
into it.
Ken. Don't
Yeah.
get one.
They're really
ever.
good.
Yeah. I'm sure I'd be way into it.
You'd be like, how did they get the syrup in the pancake?
It's good.
It's like
How?
a pusher. Your first
How
bite's
was it
always
in
free.
there? Yeah.
Uh-oh, let's see. Breaking news. Google and HTC. Okay, I literally just got this email. Breaking news. Google and HTC announced $1.1 billion cooperation agreement. Certain HTC employees, many of whom worked on Pixel smartphones, to join Google. Google receives HTC IP through non-exclusive licensing agreement.
Non-exclusive, huh?
Transaction reinforces HTC's commitment to innovation.
What the hell did Google need?
No, what
I don't think that means what you think it
transaction
means.
ensures that HTC stays alive long enough to manufacture
Pixel
large
2.
quantities of Pixel 2.
It says transaction reinforces HTC's commitment to innovation and its branded smartphone business. So apparently they're saying they're going to keep the HTC brand.
You know, they didn't buy them. They just gave them
They
a bunch
announced a
of money.
definitive agreement under which certain HTC employees, many of whom are already working with Google developed Pixel smartphones, will join Google. They basically stole their phone employees, their Pixel employees,
It said you can still make phones if you want to, but we have your employees now.
and Google in return pays $1.1 billion in cash.
Wait, 1.1 billion.
Yeah.
There must be some valuable employees.
The agreement is a testament to the decade-long strategic relationship between HTC and Google. It also supports HTC's
T-Mobile
continued
G1,
branded
baby.
smartphone strategy and enabling a more streamlined product portfolio. Less
You know,
products.
they've been through a lot together. I mean, they've been together for 10 years, but you know, Google cheated on them with LG, and then they had this little fling with Huawei.
Cheat on
But
them
they're
with,
back.
Cheat on them with Motorola, Samsung,
Yeah, it's
LG,
true.
Huawei.
I mean, they even they put a ring on Motorola's finger too, but then they divorced them, and they're back with HTC.
Some things are cyclical.
I don't. Okay, I don't get it really.
Too bad they
It's
can't
basically
launch.
Google paying $1.1 billion for HTC to stay in business, right?
Cross licensing of licensing of patents. I don't know what patents they might
We'll take
have
your employees. Please stay in business to manufacture these devices that we're going to design. Because
that we've
don't
already
wanna-
designed.
Well,
The Pixel.
and other ones going forward, I would assume. I don't know. All right, is everybody here? Does the audio sound okay? Can we start the show?
Oh yeah, also Asus. Google is in bed with Asus for the Nexus 7. I was listing
the
companies that made
7?
Nexus devices with.
Oh, okay.
I forgot
Yeah, yeah.
Asus.
Can you see this in the? Yeah, you can. The clock blocks it, but that's fine. Clock. I said the
I was
Blocks
almost.
it.
I was about to pounce, man. I was close.
clock block.
Who the
clock,
hell is
block,
Jedi Master
clock,
Allen in the chat
block.
anyway? Who is that?
You, it's you.
It's not me.
Don't lie.
Is it your wife?
It's definitely not my wife.
Oh man. The
Yeah.
episode, the number for next week's podcast is going to be nice.
If
469.
it was my wife, it would
Nice.
say. If it was my wife, it would say Al Lynn's Jedi Master.
Okay. My daughter looked at this shirt today and said Mario.
Sweet.
And she's never played a video game with Mario in her life.
So when she sees a
She knows that he's a
shady
drug
man
dealer
in an alley with a trench coat,
selling mushrooms. She'll know.
she sees some like
She'll know. She'll know.
some
She's
trench
smart.
coat flasher dude.
She's a
Mario.
smart kid. Smart kid.
I used to have a shirt like that. It had Mario buying mushrooms off a Koopa Trooper.
But that's not how it works.
Oh, that is.
Is it?
Gets him out of
Well,
blocks.
he doesn't sell mushrooms either.
That's how it works on the underground.
But is he really eating them, or is he saving them to sell on the streets later? That's the thing.
Have
like
you
if you're
played
already
Mario?
big Mario and you get another one, you just get points. But that points is actually him like pausing time, going out to the streets, selling that mushroom, and getting 100
Okay,
points.
fine. He takes the first one.
Yeah.
He takes the first one, and then the rest of it is just a fever dream.
He's saving it for later.
All right. Let's do a show,
All right.
Do we have to?
or some reasonable proximity thereof.
All right. We got
All right, here we go.
Yep.
3, 2. Hey everybody, welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. This is episode 468, being recorded on September 20th, 2017. I'm Ryan Shrout.
I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm Sebastian Peak.
And I'm Alan Malventano.
We kind of went in a different order. Are you okay with that?
I don't care.
We wanted to end here because it made sense to end here
That's
and
fine.
then continue the conversation, right? Like,
Yeah.
Circle.
are your feelings hurt? I really want to know.
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Smash just has more seniority than Alan now.
He has more IKEA furniture than Alan.
It's true. Well, yeah,
He might not. I have an awful lot of those shelves.
you do. In that one room, you have probably
Yeah.
more shelves than we have in this entire office. Welcome to the show, everybody. This is PC Perspective. We talk about computer hardware, other stuff. If you joined the show beforehand, we talk about... What were we just talking about? We were
Mario selling drugs.
Mario selling drugs and whether or not he took mushrooms or sold mushrooms.
He's selling them
and-
on your shirt.
He is selling them on my shirt. In my daughter's reaction to said shirt. So these are the things you miss when you aren't paying attention to the live stream, which you can see at pcper.com/live on Wednesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. And if you need a reminder, you need a gentle like, hey, I forgot there's something I need to do on Wednesday nights. It's always super important, but I'm always forgetting. What is it? You go to pcper.com/subscribe right now and add your name and email address to this list. And it's an email list that we basically, an hour or 2 hours beforehand, I send you an email and say, hey, by the way, we're going to do a live stream. And it's usually just once a week. So you're talking about one email a week you're going to get from us. But sometimes if we're doing another event like NVIDIA or AMD or somebody else is in town, we will tell you about the live stream through that as well. And most of the time, those involve prizes and giveaways and stuff too. So there's another reason to be signed up for that list. So make sure you're doing that.
Guys in the chat are asking, is there a PC per store? They need some merch. We don't have one.
We need people to design merch. Is the
Yeah,
issue.
that was the issue, and I put that out on one of our Q&As like videos that I did. Where it was like, if you can design something, I will gladly put it on a store and allow people to buy it. But
We got some designs from old QuakeCon
look at the
shirts and
people
stuff.
in
We could
here;
probably-
they don't know how to do any of that.
We don't know how to
crap.
design.
Like,
We don't know.
there's like 100 people in this office, and none of them can design anything.
We know how to
So-
test stuff. We have zero artistic sense, though. So-
Yeah, actually, the Jim in the back has done the best in designing our thumbnails and that type of stuff.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, yeah.
I don't think
I could drink a lot of chocolate and pink milk and then vomit it on a shirt.
Two-color
like
t-shirts
tie-dye.
are expensive though.
It's kind of like Jackson Pollock.
That's true. We want to go for monochrome. It's cheaper to print. So keep that.
Of course, Jedi Master wants to buy some Malventano t-shirts. I don't even know what would be on a Malventano. Maltavino?
Just do an outline of your head, like Scott Van Pelt's logo. Just
Yeah, there you go.
The Malventano logo.
Do the listeners even know what the Maltavino thing is?
No. It
Oh,
was
they
from
don't?
one random comment on the website.
It was somebody commented on the website. I like that guy. Brian
Mal-
Maltavino. I was like,
Brian
what?
Maltavino.
I've had my
And
name
you assume
butchered
he
before.
said it with like an Italian.
It's basically
I hope so.
Brian Maltavino. You got to throw it in there. I don't know.
We also have our Patreon campaign going as well. If you'd like to donate directly to Brian Maltavino, that's at patreon.com/PCPer. This is your ability to become a monthly recurring contributor to the site. This enables us to do things like the mailbags, create other new content ideas, and make sure we can continue to make podcasts and articles and whatnot. So important there. It's a great thing. We really love it, and we love all the support we get from people there. If you become a new patron or upgrade your patronage by at least $1 during the live stream here, I will call out your name and thank you personally on the stream. We already have 2 of those. We have a new pledge of $1 from Hashin256. Passion 256. Thank you very much. And Harry Cracks. That's spelled Krax. Just so we're all very clear here. Is
Yeah,
a
get
new
your
pledge
mind-
of $3.
Get your mind out of the gutter.
Thank you, Harry K, if you will. And so also one of those things I don't have the thing for it. We've done mailbags with these. You linked to the edit instead of the view page in the show notes, so that's why it was. That's why it's not bringing it up. That's okay. But we did a mailbag. I sit in front of a camera and answer user submitted questions for about 20 minutes. Those are at youtube.com/PCPer, and then we also do. We did a weekly Let's Play / what do we call it? PCPer Plays event where Ken and I played the original Crysis from 2007.
Still looks good as it turns out.
Yeah, and if you read the comments on that video, everyone's like, wow,
Foliage.
that still looks great. Yeah, they're very impressed by the foliage.
Everybody was like, wow, there's an awful lot of foliage.
I mean,
Destructibility?
I swam out to an island in the middle of the water, and mowed down all the trees with my machine gun.
Yeah.
Right? And so-
Accidentally exploded the house you were in.
accidentally exploded the house I was in. Yeah, like the game technology is still really impressive, and the facial animation looks good, and it still looks surprisingly good for a 10-year-old game. I bet if you go back to some of the other, Josh, what were some other like flagship game titles around that time? You think?
Far Cry, Doom 3.
Oh god, Doom 3 didn't age that well.
Yeah, Doom 3 didn't age nearly as well. Yeah, and Far Cry would have been out what 2 or 3 years before this.
2004 was Far Cry, Doom.
No.
2 were
2004,
2005.
yeah. Okay, so yeah, 3 years before Crysis was Far Cry, which even Far Cry looked really good, but Crysis was a significant step up even for that. So check out those videos. It's at youtube.com/PCPer. What do the YouTube guys say? Like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah.
Is that what they do? Yeah, do all those 3 things if you can. We'd appreciate it. Let's get into the content. The first thing we're going to talk about this week comes from Ken. It's
What? Huh?
That's the only reason he's here. The MSI GS63 VR, which
What, like
is
the only reason I'm here for this podcast, or I'm here in general?
this is the MSI GS63 VR.
You were here in general, even when you weren't working
gaming
here.
laptop. This is our second look at a Max-Q design machine. What the hell does that mean, Ken?
It means that through magical voodoo that NVIDIA won't disclose, essentially, by working with notebook partners, MSI was able to put a GTX 1070 into this form factor in which they previously only offered up to a GTX 1060,
Okay.
which is very neat.
Yep.
So this is a existing MSI design. It's the MSI GS63 VR, which even the same code name is
Right.
available
It's
with
just
the other
with
GPUs.
a different GPU.
Yeah. Which is an awesome design. We've taken a look at the evolution of these. They're the Stealth Pro is their moniker laptops in the MSI line. They're always super thin and light gaming notebooks that have good options such as GTX 1060, which is still a good gaming GPU for this type
Especially
of
for a
form factor.
1080p screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now it's Max-Q enabled. So we took a look at the Asus ROG Zephyrus a couple months ago, which was a built from the top Max-Q design that has the weird keyboard and trackpad placement,
Right.
and sort of going full hog into these GPU optimizations for the Max-Q program. But we decided to take a look at this MSI laptop, which is just kind of a normal gaming laptop, and see how it performs.
Yeah, the Zephyrus was the first time Asus had made anything that looked like this. We have seen laptops that look like this several times from MSI, and they're even at the time when we did these initial looks, they were thin, light. We were impressed by what they offered.
Yeah,
in
it's
that
always
form factor.
always the thinnest and lightest gaming notebook form factor you could find. And compared to the Zephyrus, I think it's a bit thicker, but it is barely noticeable, we'll say.
Yeah, I mean, NVIDIA puts like a restriction on how thick it can be to get the Max-Q moniker,
I'm not
doesn't
sure
it?
the exact
Maybe not. I don't know.
program specifications there.
So we looked, obviously, having seen the form factor several times, and also since we had seen one other Max-Q design machine from Asus, we just kind of we wanted to look at gaming performance specifically, right? Dirt Rally, 1080p, we tested. And generally what we found was, so the kind of like we saw with the 1080 Max-Q, the 1070 Max-Q does not meet the performance levels of a standard GTX 1070. We had an older laptop, an Asus G752VS with a full performance GTX 1070, and that machine is not a Max-Q design. It's a much thicker, larger, heavier laptop. More of what you think of when you hear the term gaming laptop. And you can see here, actually, yeah, this one right here, this graph. Like the black line is the MSI Max-Q 1070, and then the green line is the GTX 1070 full perf, right?
Yeah.
And as it turns out, like the 1080 Max-Q is pretty close to the GTX 1070 perf, pretty much across the board, I
Which
guess.
is kind of the
stuff we've
conclusion we
seen.
started coming to at the end of our ROG Zephyrus review, but we got a hold of a 1070 laptop to put in this review that we were expecting to be right in the middle, and for the most part it was. I will say that the Max-Q design is further away from the 1070 than it is the Max-Q 1080.
Say it again. The
There's
full
a bigger
1070.
gap between the Max-Q 1070 and the 1070 than the Max-Q 1080 and the 1070.
Excuse me.
Boy, that's really confusing.
Yeah, it is. Yes, but I mean, even if you look at like GTA 5, this is like frame variant, so it's not quite the same. But like the orange and green lines are the 1080 Max Q and the full 1070, right? And then the black line is the 1070 Max Q. And if you look up here, like the green and orange lines are tracking very closely. The black line is, it's not a dramatic step below, but it's definitely.
little bit below.
GTA is a very CPU-bound game, so that was one of the games that showed a much smaller gap.
Yep.
Yeah. And here, okay, so this in Tomb Raider is an example that shows the perf advantage of the 1080 Max Q over the 1070. Because I think some people, even me, myself included, were like, oh, you know, a 1080 Max Q might as well be just called a 1070 that they put into a lower power state or whatever, right, to get down to that perf level. But I mean, you can see there is, the 1080 Max Q is still offering more than a 1070 here in this instance, but the 1070 Max Q is lower than both of them, which is what we would expect. And my guess is it's somewhere, you know, a handful, 5-10% faster than a 1060 full would be. Just a guess off the top of my head there. You agree with that?
Yeah. And we saw some more some more 404s on the network connection.
404.
It just reloaded itself.
We saw some more
Interesting.
frame
Network cable
variants
attached.
in the 1080 Max Q in some games. So, as you might expect, a higher performing laptop in a similar form factor is more thermally throttled and can cause frame variance. It still wasn't anything that I would call anywhere near unplayable. It was still a pretty smooth experience, especially since the Zephyrus has a G-Sync display.
Right.
So, just something to keep in mind is that these Max Q designs can have more variance than the
fair.
fuller, more thermally managed GPUs.
Anything stand out in the other CPU storage test? It looks like, you know, the Zephyrus was interesting because it had a full perf quad core part. This one did too, it looks like.
Yeah, they share the same CPU, so the pure CPU benchmarks are pretty similar. However, if you go down to like PC Mark,
well, the Handbrake one's interesting.
Oh yeah,
in that because the MSI GS63 VR integrates
Optimus.
I don't know. Did they really still call it that? Whatever it is, they have both the Intel and the NVIDIA GPU enabled in the system, right? That allows you to use QuickSync video, like for transcoding, which is the fastest of all the results. Whereas the ROG Zephyrus, they don't enable the integrated graphics on the processor.
That might change from SKU to SKU because I believe they do offer the GS63 VR with the G-Sync display, which is why they can't use Optimus on the Zephyrus because they all have G-Sync displays.
Got it.
But most of the SKUs don't have G-Sync. I think only some very high-end options that you can't necessarily find a whole lot
of this, of the GS63 VR. Got it.
So I would mostly expect to be able to use QuickSync.
Okay. Storage performance looks pretty good. You know, 545 by 515.
Yeah, so I mean, pretty run-of-the-mill SATA performance. It is a bit disappointing. We'll get to this with the next page with the price point that we didn't see an NVMe device in this notebook. Like the ROG Zephyrus had a 960 Evo in it, essentially the OEM equivalent of 960 Evo. So you're getting a lot more storage performance for the given segment.
Yeah.
What about the pricing? You were going to bring up something.
It's very expensive. So
all right, moving on.
Leave it there.
So if you scroll up a little bit, I don't remember the exact number. So
$2,300, $2,400.
It's $2,400 for the notebook and the configuration we reviewed with the Max-Q 1070, a 120 hertz 1080p panel, not G-Sync, and a SATA SSD and a hard drive. That's very steep.
Yeah.
You can get the ROG Zephyrus now has a GTX 1070 Max-Q enabled option that is $2,300. So you're getting the G-Sync display, you're getting the NVMe SSD. You unfortunately gain the weird keyboard trackpad form factor, but you're also saving $100 at that point.
Right.
And then if you just want to go to laptops that have a GTX 1070 in it, you can find those for like around $1,700 on the lower end, and the Asus ROG Strix GL502, which we actually have had in for some stuff lately, is a pretty thin and light gaming notebook. It's not super bulky or anything, and you can get it for $1,700 with the full 1070 in it, which will give you better performance by like somewhere around 5 to 10%.
Right.
So I find it difficult to recommend this exact configuration to anyone. I think the MSI GS63 VR is a great notebook in general. If you want to buy one with a 1050 or 1060 in it, those are more viable options. But this 1070 Max Q option seems to be outpriced the market essentially for not highest end gaming GPU
Interesting.
performance.
So that is the review of the MSI GS63 VR. Worth pointing out, this is the one that was sent to us by CUK.
Yeah.
Computer Upgrade King, so we thank them for that. I think it's cukusa.com is their website,
so.
right? They do a lot of interesting, cool stuff with customization. Like they sell MSI and Asus laptops, but they will customize them before you get them. So if you want a bigger SSD or RAID configuration that they don't offer individually, or you want 64 gigs of RAM in it, like they will do that for you, and it's all within reasonable prices of what you would expect from the from the MSI or Asus machines directly. So thank you for that, guys. Hold on, before we move on to the next review, Errato 949 became a new patron for $5 a month. Thank you very much for that, Errato 949. Keep them coming in, guys. I will pay attention this week, I promise. Maury posted a review of the Gigabyte Z270X Gaming 8 motherboard. It has the Aorus. I always want to add an extra syllable to that and call it Aurorus, but that's not correct.
That's the British pronunciation.
I see. Yes, and I think it might have. Did you know Sleeping Beauty's name is Aurora?
Nope.
Oh God.
Had no idea. My daughter taught me this, and I think that's part of what that was.
When she told you that, did you go, "No, it isn't"?
You don't even know what you're talking
Stupid
about, you
kid.
dumb kid. Ugh. But anyway,
Look at those RAM slots, man.
that's actually so the lights between the LED, the memory slots. I think that's pretty cool.
Are they in between or are they
Well, there's only
in
3 of them, so there's in
memory?
between.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, fair.
But I mean, even like you got this. I don't know what the hell that is.
Yeah, what is that?
Light section. It's probably just like a clear
No,
acrylic.
it's just a piece of plexiglass.
Yeah.
And 2 LEDs at the side with the
yeah.
That cool
the
stuff.
stuff
it's like
to
a
make
pi-
it glow.
It's like a piece of flair.
The dream of the 90s is alive with the
That's true.
Gigabyte Z270X Gaming 8
That
motherboard.
is very Miami Vice down there.
There's a lot going on here. They've got looks like this is has like the water cooling option over the VRMs as well. There's a lot going on here.
No, I was just thinking that those lights would really help if you were working inside of that case, and but then you don't do upgrades with the system turned on, so never mind.
No.
Well,
These
actually, a lot
motherboards
of these
need to have a
motherboards,
switch for like turning on the LEDs.
a lot of these
Yes.
motherboards will, all the LEDs will stay on when the system is off, but the power supply is still supplying
No,
like standby
I
power.
haven't seen that
Really?
happening really.
The one in the Plex server.
But even if that's the
stays
case, you probably still shouldn't be upgrading it without the
power
power supply
supply on.
switch being
Yeah.
off, in
I
case you
know.
accidentally like hit those switches to turn on.
Yeah,
Because there are just buttons on all these motherboards these days to turn on the
true.
system, so I'd keep that in mind. As mentioned, it does have the Bits Power G-Chill hybrid water block across all of the power delivery cooling. Hopefully, we start to see some of this in those X299 motherboards where it maybe is more useful
Yeah.
as well. Multi-zone light show design.
Light show.
RGB fusion. 6 light zones, 8 programmable sections, 8 different lighting effects, 2 RGBW light strip pin headers, accent LED with interchangeable overlay. There's a lot. There's a lot there. SmartFan 5 support. You can see some of the external output capability. This is a full-featured motherboard for sure.
Does it have a 1/4 inch headphone jack?
It has multiple.
I mean, it has multiple of them.
A quarter. No,
I said
it's a
quarter.
inch.
Quarter. Okay. I don't think so.
yeah, that's right.
No.
Not
it has
interested.
Not interested.
But
I
it
understand.
has USB 3.1 and PS2.
I don't care, Alex.
PS2 port, man.
The scale
PS2.
of input connectivity from PS2 port to USB 3.1 is that Thunderbolt? Probably not. It would be a different color if it were Thunderbolt, wouldn't
It's
it?
still
No,
a
it would be
very
a different
large
color.
range of
It
years.
wouldn't make it. Hold on. Let's see. Storage interface.
Chipset Thunderbolt 3 controller. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it goes from PS2 to Thunderbolt 3,
What's the
which is really only one generation leap. PS2 to Thunderbolt
goes
3.
like it goes like 10
I'm pretty
years.
sure you can drive video through a
Yeah,
PS2
'cause
port,
3 is
right?
one more than 2.
It's like 10 years before Ken was born.
PS2 has existed.
No.
What was before PS2? It was the 4-pin. What was that called?
AT.
Just
AT.
4-pin
AT,
DIMM?
yeah.
Yeah.
Just AT.
Yeah.
I remember.
Now I'm
side,
curious.
side question, side note. When I got my first custom computer built for me, before I built my own, I had a place called Custom Computers Build One, and I took it home. I was so excited. My dad went and picked me up, and we went and picked up the computer, and I brought it home, and it had a PS2 connector on it. Or it had a 4-pin DIN, and my keyboard was PS2, or vice versa. And I was like, oh no. And I had to like have him take me back out to, I think I went to the Florence Mall to go to the Radio Shack to buy a 4-pin DIN to PS2 adapter.
That's the perfect
come
place to buy
back.
one.
The 4-pin connector was like the thing that looked like a MIDI plug, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a big circle.
With the pins in a different place or something.
The AT connector.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that has nothing to do with the Gigabyte Z270X Gaming 8, but you know, what are you going to do?
It has an AT connector.
Oh, I was fascinated
obviously.
by it. Fascinating.
Thank
Trip
you.
down memory lane.
It's good. Hey, I'm here
Let's
to
do it
have
again.
stories for you, and my network cable keeps unplugging from this machine. Here's the board. It looks way less interesting without all the lights on.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, no,
from
I'm not
why they
trying to
put 'em all-
discount Maury's photography work here. I'm just saying.
That's why they put them all there. They're
I
just
know,
like, man,
yeah,
look at how bland this board looks. We gotta
a lot of
jazz this
PCIe
up.
slots. They're giving you 4 full length ones, even though
The fourth one is
the usefulness of that is, you know, like if you want to use this bottom one, you have to have a case that supports that, right? Not a lot of cases support, you know, going a slot below the end of the ATX motherboard.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if this is maybe a hey, if you also want to use this for mining nod or something like that. I don't really know. Usually you don't see 4 by 16 on Z270 boards. And I don't think this is using any PLX chips.
That
I
would
didn't see
give
it in
you
the specs,
that
but-
would give you an extra space between the 3 GPUs. If you put 3 of them and the third one was in the furthest slot,
Yeah.
it would, you know, that would give you 3
that's
GPUs
true.
not all
That's
jammed
true.
up
Plus,
against
you
each
could
other.
plug
Right?
3x1 ribbon cables in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sebastian, it does have amp up audio. Is that good enough?
No.
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 Oh.
Sound Blaster ZXRI.
All right.
That's software.
That sounds like a disease.
ZXRI. It's going to be in the next blockbuster film. That's what actually causes zombie breakouts. Actually, ZXRI. I read that.
I guess it sounds
I
more
read
like a
that somewhere.
drug, like a pharmaceutical.
So it's got a lot of caps for the audio. So there's that, right? There's a
It could have a
plus.
good DAC in it. I don't know.
It has a.
Ever since I saw that board with a 1/4-inch jack, it's just I can't go
I
back.
know.
It's got a Burr
No, it's
Brown
probably got the
op amp.
stinking crab codec
Crab
underneath
codec.
all of that.
Oh,
You know, the crab.
Oh,
maybe
Realtek.
it has an ESS. You don't know.
Maury
we
took
do
this
know.
picture with the lights illuminated.
On a motherboard. Sure.
And a light strip.
The back panel does illuminate as well. The back panel
Yeah, that's what he's
plate
trying to show.
illuminates as well. Yeah, he doesn't just normally lay the back
He
panel.
was trying to show all
thing.
the things that light up, all at the same
That's
picture.
how I build my system.
Here's an LED light strip kind of just running across. Yeah.
The
I'm amazed
postcode
you-
doesn't look like it's booted.
I'm amazed he can even take that picture.
Why?
What do you mean?
Just because it's so bright, like,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
you'd figure the motherboard would be so
That's
dark
true.
or something.
Stop it down.
And the best part about the way he laid, if you scroll back up,
What did you
the
say?
back panel,
Yeah.
it is actually shorting out parts of the motherboard.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's awesome. That's why the postcode is.
No, don't
Okay.
don't say that about Maury.
Maury's never done anything
No,
like that
no, no.
before.
Dual U.2.
And
What
dual
the heck?
SATA Express.
Well,
Why would you need dual U.2?
I,
those-
Or one for that
For
I
matter.
those
don't
two
know.
SSD 750 U.2s that
Yeah.
anyone ever bought.
Yeah, I mean, you could
I
do
don't have an
that.
answer for that.
Yeah, I
to be
don't
honest
know.
with you, I don't know. The water block does look nice. I'll give him that. Like even if you don't use the water block part of it, like I still think it looks slick.
Does it?
Well, I mean, like if you just use it passively.
Is it just acting as a spreader otherwise?
Yeah.
Or is it?
Yeah,
Or
I
is
mean,
there
it's-
actually a heat sink somewhere?
Because
I don't see
Yeah,
fins.
it's a heat sink under there. It just doesn't have any airflow.
Oh, so it's just
Yeah.
a heat spreader then.
Well, I mean, if you have a regular heatsink fan, there will be some airflow. If you have a water cooler like Maury, then there'd be none. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a lot going on here. It's a pretty high end board. He
that's-
tears apart the bits. Yeah, that 8-pin connector.
8-pin that you can't.
What is going on with this today?
I don't know.
Tears it apart. You can actually
There he
there he is
goes.
removing the whole thing. There you see it.
Yeah, yeah.
Maury likes to take things apart. What can I say?
Of course he does.
It's all right. And most of the time, it goes back together.
Without
Most
being
of the time.
cracked or
Most
broken.
of the time. Most of the time. So he goes through his overclocking testing, normal performance testing, UEFI, all that type of stuff for you to go take a look at. I said stuff. Shut your mouth. This is an expensive motherboard, as you would expect, with all that capability.
470.
470, and it's got the water cooling on the VRM. It's got to be their flagship offering here. That's still a lot of money. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
A lot of strengths, weaknesses. Oh man, CMOS
battery
replacement.
Top
damn.
weakness.
You know, if they just hadn't been greedy with those full-length PCI Express slots, it could have put the CMOS battery in a better position.
You're right.
Can we run a search on the website for CMOS battery replacement and see how many unique hits we get?
That should be a tag.
CMOS battery replacement. If we don't come up as the #1 Google search result for CMOS battery replacement, I will be upset.
Well, if you read the the site, let me see my site description here. PC Perspective, your #1 source of CMOS battery placement news and information on the web.
Hold on, now I'm just gonna. Why is my trackpad not working?
Why are you breaking everything?
don't know.
You broke it. You broke the laptop.
Hold on. CMOS battery placement. Oh, the HP support site. Look at this.
Oh, we're not even on the first page.
None of these are us. This what?
Well, it's set. Wait, go up. Is it searching placement or replacement?
no, just
it's
placement.
searching-
All right. Well,
Put it in quotes.
We've learned now. We've learned now. Well, no, I'm not going to. Let's move on. Check out the review. It is up there if you want to take a look. Let's get into our news items, starting with Toshiba. Are they bought this week? Are they still in negotiations this week?
I mean,
Nobody friggin' knows.
Well, I thought that
Jesus.
officially went through.
No, kinda. I mean,
I think Toshiba would like it to go through.
there was a recent thing where they said that, sort of confirming. I realize this is a post Tim put up like last week, right after the podcast,
Oh, sure.
right? And now, as of like earlier today, it's kind of surfacing on like Reuters had a story is saying, hey, Bain Capital and a group of some other people like Apple and a few other people. Are you okay with the touchpad over there?
No, I'm not.
All right.
Keep going.
You know, a few other people kind of threw in some funds to try to pool their money together in order to buy Toshiba's flash memory production.
Toshiba
right?
said it agreed to sell today.
Yeah, they said they agreed to sell, but here's the thing. So Western Digital / SanDisk, and I say /SanDisk, which is important because SanDisk originally, before acquired by Western Digital, had an agreement to jointly produce flash memory with Toshiba, which meant that it was a joint venture. They were both investing together in the development
Production
of
facilities,
flash and
all that
production
stuff.
facilities, all
Yeah,
this
yeah.
stuff, right? And with an agreement like that comes like some responsibility on both parties, right? Well, even though Western Digital acquired SanDisk, that shouldn't just nullify the entire agreement. It just means that Western Digital now is in a joint venture with Toshiba. Well, they might not like it, but like
Sure.
that's just kind of how it works, right? Well, at the same time, Toshiba had like Westinghouse go under on them and go bankrupt or negative or whatever you want to call it. So they're just trying to get money from something to the point where they're like, well, we're going to sell off our flash production.
Mhm.
Well, Western Digital like, well, hey, hold your horses. Like, you're in a joint venture with us. You can't just go doing stuff
Well,
with our joint venture
Yeah.
without like at least consulting with
Hey,
us.
I'm no
or, you
legal
know.
expert, but I'm going to say to Toshiba, or I'm going to say to SanDisk, hey, if you can get bought by somebody without my approval, then I can sell myself without your approval.
I
That's what would
guess
say.
I don't know,
Put it in the
but
books.
yeah. So
Whatever
that's,
judge has to do with this.
I'm sure
can
that's probably
reference me.
part of Toshiba's argument or something because they're going back and forth. So there's like three
It
separate.
seems to me that Toshiba always declares that it's done.
Yeah.
And then somebody says, nah, not
No,
really. Like,
no.
we still legally
They
have the
get
chance to
pulled
bid.
back in again.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So you have,
Toshiba's like, it's my last day before retirement, and then they get pulled back
so
in.
basically Toshiba kept doing other stuff on their own after Western Digital acquired SanDisk
Yeah.
without consulting the joint venture side of it. So then now they've racked up like 3 separate lawsuits from Western Digital so far.
Cool.
Nothing to do with the selling thing, just from doing other stuff with the fab.
Oh.
Right? Like, we just want to invest in some more stuff, but we don't care what the other half does, right? And that sort of stuff. And apparently there's some court in California that has
California
ruled,
court has reportedly ordered Toshiba to give Western Digital 2 weeks' notice of any deal with the consortium, and its 2 previous arbitration requests through ICC are still pending resolution.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, even though there was a Reuters story earlier today saying it looked like that deal actually happened with Bain Capital, it's, you know, I was gonna post something about it, but there's so much just back and forth and conjecture and stuff flying around that I don't think anybody can really say that's what the deal is for sure.
My bid didn't go through. So
your bid,
yeah,
10 cents a gig.
I was gonna bid 10 cents a gig for whatever they had left in stock.
Whatever's left in stock.
Yeah.
Okay, how much flash is on that wafer over there? I'll pay you 10 cents a gig.
No, because then I couldn't sell it for 10 cents a gig. I'd have to buy it for like 2 cents a gig in order to get through all the process.
Yeah.
Because I'd have to bring it here and then hand cut the wafer and glue them.
You'd walk in
to the
You'd walk in and
SSDs.
throw it on my desk. Alan, here.
No, I'd
Get to
cut
work.
it and with an X-Acto or whatever you do.
X-Acto knife.
Right?
Yeah,
And then I would open up like
Angle grinder. Use an angle grinder.
I
to
see.
cut out
I
the
would go
dies.
open up one of these SATA SSDs, like a Samsung SSD or something like that, and I would open it up.
Just lay the wafers in there.
And I
just
would
lay
glue
the
them on
dies in
top.
there.
I mean, come on, you got to have them in place. So
You
you
gotta
glue
stack
them
them
to
higher.
the top. Yeah, on
Stack
top of
it
each
even
other.
higher,
But then
yeah.
you glue them just to the top of the package of the
Okay.
other one. And I figure like
Didn't you
electricity
3D
flows
print
through that.
a PCB for it? I mean,
Yeah, I
No.
could probably do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Ken could do that.
Anyway, I think this is really happening, guys.
I'm doing it right now.
Before we get to our app permissions, was that in there? 2 new patrons. Ken's the Man just pledged $1. Nice try, Ken.
Was that Tony? Was that Tony?
I don't know. It just says Ken's the Man. Ken's the Man pledged $1. And Thomas Taylor edited their pledge from $1 to $3.50. So thank you very much,
Are you
Ken's
sure
the
it's not a
Man
Loch Ness
and
monster?
Thomas Taylor. What's that?
Are you sure it's not a Loch Ness monster?
Might be.
About 350.
350.
About 350.
All right. Other news items. Proper, I don't know what this is. Somebody's explained to me. Jeremy's not here. Proper per app permissions arriving in Windows 10. Anybody know what the hell this is? What are we talking about? Installed applications will now need your agreement to collect and transmit metadata, such as your location, other
think like
information.
iOS versus Android. You know, when you install an Android app and it needs to use this, and like location, it needs to use your local storage. You have to agree to all of those things
Yeah.
on a per app basis. Apparently, that's going to be the default behavior of Windows 10 in the coming up with the Creators Update. So
I bet the majority of people who are using this, like I would never, I don't think of any applications I download from Windows as needing my location, right? And in fact, if anything, I get super annoyed when I go to a website and there's a pop-up. It's like, hey, we'd like to know your location. I'm like, how about not right now? How about no?
So now, if you installed Chrome on a new install of this version of Windows and you went to that website, first Chrome would ask you. And then if you said yes, then Windows would go, hey.
Hey, did you know Chrome was making this request for you?
Chrome wants to.
Which I guess is like the safest way to go.
But Chrome that would only happen once. Windows would only ask you once for Chrome.
Sure.
So would you like Chrome to have the ability to know where you're at?
Yeah,
I can see that.
It's permission requests all the way down. Basically.
Apparently, the enterprise version will offer greater control and limit the OS to local notifications of serious issues or updates.
All right.
So that was part of the fall creators update, I guess is what they're calling it, that will be coming out. So,
I like this,
do you?
but I still won't run Windows 10.
I just don't travel. Like, I don't know. I don't have my laptop out as often as I have my smartphone out. So, like, do you want to know if I'm at my office or at my house? Because that's pretty much it. Like, I guess that's fine.
Yeah.
Right, you know. This is kind of interesting. There's been some Raven Ridge news creeping out, which is the AMD APU that combines Zen Ryzen cores, 4 Ryzen cores, and a is it a Polaris? No, Vega-based
maybe
GPU
Vega.
core.
Is it like a stripped down Vega?
Oh, I mean, clearly it's going to be in a
How many watt
TDP. I don't know the answer to that.
Oh.
So AMD actually announced Ryzen Mobile, indicating that the APUs previously known as Raven Ridge would be launching the second half of this year. And apparently a Geekbench performance result for a Ryzen 5 2500U APU leaked out. Single core score of 3561, multi-core 9421. Comparison-wise, what's kind of important to note is they are using 50% less power versus the previous generation Bristol Ridge processors, while handily beating them in the performance offered. So 50% more CPU perf, 40% more GPU perf compared to 7th generation APUs based on these leaked benchmark scores. Obviously, Geekbench is not all encompassing. You're not going to get the total of what this means for your Windows operating system, your gaming performance, et cetera, et cetera. Josh, what do you make of some of these early performance results and the opportunity that AMD might have with something like Raven Ridge?
I think it's going to be pretty decent. And not only that, but one of the more interesting things about it is going to be Infinity Fabric. One of the reasons that Vega was such a larger design was that they included Infinity Fabric with that. So we don't have to deal with the, Onion Plus bus that they had to do in between the old memory controller and CPU and the GPU portion. So it's all combined with Infinity Fabric in between Zen and Vega. They haven't told us that yet, except of course they designed Vega with Infinity Fabric, and why would you use any of these older bus protocols that they used in the past with Llano, Trinity, all of the other old APUs, Excavator based stuff, Carrizo, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting. What's that?
Chorizo.
Chorizo. It's truth. But no, it's they've got Zen in an APU, and you're going to have better power efficiency. You're going to have better IPC. You're going to have better scaling with hyper-threading. Well, AMD's version of hyper-threading. So it's kind of a win-win for AMD. We're just going to see how well they are able to integrate it all into one SoC. And so far, so good.
Have we seen any confirmation on the memory systems that these are using?
Nope.
Right? Like, there's rumors of them using HBM. Are they just going to use standard, like, dual-channel memory controller?
No, for now, it's going to be dual-channel. I mean, they had talked about some HPC applications which would utilize some kind of Zen Core APU, except the graphics portion is going to be significantly higher.
Yeah.
And it'll have HBM. But that's heavy duty, high performance computing server type things.
So we don't think
hoping
consumer APUs will have like a single stack HBM option.
Not anytime soon. How well now can you buy a product with HBM2 from AMD?
Not great, but maybe they use HBM1. Like I don't know. I just feel like integrated graphics has always suffered from memory bandwidth constraints of these platforms, and AMD didn't design like some wildly superior memory controller on Zen compared to anything previously or from Intel, right? So
it's a big step up from Bulldozer and everything else before.
I mean, it's essentially matching the memory performance of Intel, like Skylake, right? Like you're getting 25 gigabytes per second of memory bandwidth on DDR4 running at 2666 or whatever, but that's on a Vega GPU you're getting 500 gigabytes per second, so an order of magnitude times 2 of difference there. And so it's.
But we're also we've got to take a look at what Infinity Fabric will bring to this, because it is going to be a lot more efficient than their previous applications.
Sure.
And so you've got a bigger GPU, you've got DDR4 running it, it's going to be 2400, 2666, maybe even we'll see 3200. And compare that to how Intel does graphics accesses to memory with what AMD has. And I think AMD may actually have a little bit of a leg up here.
I assume AMDs will still scale with memory frequency, right? So as that memory frequency increases, that we'll still have gaming improvements. But I mean, you're still going to be an order of magnitude lower than a discrete GPU would be, even a low-end discrete GPU would be. And I gotta wonder at what point in this progression down integrated graphics do we finally realize that there's there has to be a crossover point where we can't depend on external memory anymore. We have to have onboard memory for something like this to work.
Remember when
Maybe we're not there
AMD
yet.
did that with the 780? You could have 128 megs of off, kind of side bus memory that were built into motherboards.
Yeah. That didn't go very well.
Not particularly.
I mean, did it even get released? Was it like?
Oh yeah, it was out there. It just was not.
I don't remember. I remember that now conceptually that you say it, but like I thought that was one of those things that I saw on motherboards at Computex that never actually showed up in the market or something.
No, actually, I believe I did test a board before I jumped on with you guys, and it was a small boost in performance, but it was only like a single 128 meg chip at a time when 1 gig was kind of the standard.
I'm excited about Raven Ridge because it has always been AMD's advantage over Intel in these spaces, right? So think, high-end mobile parts, 35, like high wattage mobile parts, 35 watts, or low-end consumer PCs where integrated graphics dominates. The current Ryzen 3 processors, even though they're as great as they are in comparison to Core i3, they still don't have integrated graphics, which is a significant hurdle, I think, for them to take over any kind of market share in like small business environments, right? Where they don't want to buy discrete GPUs,
Right.
They don't want to support discrete GPUs. It's an added cost and added complication.
And it's another point of failure.
Right, exactly. So getting integrated graphics there and then being able to sell that as an advantage, like not only like, hey, now you can plug your damn monitor directly into the motherboard and it works. You don't have to buy anything else. We're also like 2x the perf or 3x the perf of what Intel offers you for graphics. Even if a lot of people who are buying these systems have no idea what that means or what that gets them, I think it's an easy upgrade path or an easy selling point for
Not
AMD.
to mention
down that way.
graphics drivers. AMD has a significant advantage.
But that
over
really,
Intel.
well, I mean, that matters mostly for gaming, right? In terms of like continued support over time. And because if you're doing an application that you care about driver support, like say 3D rendering, you're probably going to use a discrete GPU anyway, maybe. I don't know. But either way, I think it gives AMD a huge advantage over Intel that Intel's going to have to figure out ways to compensate for as we get into the rest of the year. So I think that's. We've seen these leaks of like perf data just kind of starting to trickle out, but nothing about systems
Q4.
or availability yet. Yeah.
Q4. It's going to be holiday part.
You know what I love?
What do you love other than bourbon?
Gold.
Okay, Scrooge McDuck.
I was
No,
trying
I
to
think
go
he's
for
talking,
Goldfinger.
Oh.
Yeah,
gold
sorry.
member.
I couldn't really do it. Anyway,
He's skillfully transitioning to the next story.
Yeah.
yes. I if I was really skillful, I would have had like a picture of Goldmember like up on the screen for me to go to.
No, you would have
in between.
offered Alan, do you want a pancake and a smoke? A smoke and a pancake?
Bongalabets.
I clearly do none of those things. So let's talk about instead a hard drive with the name Gold attached to it. How valuable is this hard drive?
I mean, not its weight in gold.
Is it gold coated? Are the platters
no.
made of gold?
No.
What the?
Is it expansive?
Isn't it? Well, probably. It's
12
just
terabytes.
Wait,
gold.
okay, why do they call it gold when they expect it to oxidize?
What?
Just call it.
Gold doesn't oxidize, but it's spinning rust.
Yeah.
So
I
how are you going
know.
to change?
Is it like those like 24-bit CDs that
The
were
WD
gold?
12 terabyte copper hard drive.
Yeah,
would've
yeah.
been
It's just a
alright.
lump of copper spinning around. Yeah. No. So gold is just Western Digital's color for their enterprise hard drives.
Is this a new color? Or has this always been around?
No, it used to be RE. Remember?
Not FE though. For
no,
iron?
No.
What's
How about PB?
AU?
For lead.
See, that would have made sense.
Yeah,
AU is gold.
That's what I just said.
AG is silver.
But the RE drives used to
Whoa.
just have like black labels on them, so it was sort of like it would just said Enterprise Edition or whatever, and it was sort of like a black but better.
Now they're
kind
color
of.
coding everything.
Now they're giving them their own color.
enough.
Right? Okay. So what they really are is just kind of beefed up versions of the of Reds, basically.
Okay.
Faster spinning, right? They're going to be like 7,200 RPM version of a red. Same kind of Helio Seal stuff going on. So they're still using the tech that they have benefited from the HGST merger thingy, right? So they're basically helium filled 8 platter, 12 terabyte drives. So that's 1.5 terabytes a platter.
$520. What do they think I have?
But it's
Gold?
12 terabytes.
Wait, is this the first 12 terabyte drive?
There have been 12 terabyte
Seagate makes one, I
shingled
think.
magnetic recording drives.
I think Seagate makes a non-shingled one.
They maybe recently. Yeah, I think more recently. I know on the roadmap they were talking about doing a 12 terabyte.
So are we upgrading our Plex server?
No, we just got the drives that
We
we
haven't
got.
even built it yet.
How many do we need? 16?
Yeah, go for
If
it.
you can
That's
get them
only
to send us
8,000
16.
That's only $8,000 worth of hard drives.
Yeah, only.
Holy crap!
Alan,
that's
which affordable
$8,000.
external hard drive can I buy that has this in it?
I don't know of one yet.
Which external drive at Best Buy sells for $199 with this hard drive?
Yeah, the first freaking 12 terabyte drive out there, I'm buying and tearing open and just looking. I'm sure it'll be.
You'll
in there.
find 2 6s duct taped together.
Yeah.
You gotta say "shuck it" because I like that phrase.
Yeah. Shuck it. Turn back.
No perf metrics or anything really off this or anything.
I mean,
else?
we don't. It's, 7,200 RPM drive. It's not like it's going to be just suddenly groundbreaking increases in
Is it
sequential.
more platters or more dense platters?
It's both.
Okay, so we should see a performance difference
Yeah, you'll get a little bit of a bump up in sequentials.
because of the density.
Likely because of the density increase.
Is it a higher fidelity on the reads because it's gold?
No, listen, Sebastian. You can't
Do I
audio.
need-
In the mastering process,
You can't
aka
audio file
writing
this.
tape to the drive.
You can't.
Is there less jitter?
What if I got a gold-plated fiber optic cable from my
How do you gold plate a fiber
computers?
optic
Actually,
cable?
that's
Really?
sort of a thing. Yeah.
and I
shielding around
plugged
the
it into
end?
the SPDIF. Okay, so not fiber optic, but let's just go
Toslink.
coax. Let's just go coax.
SPDIF is
Can
coax.
I ask a very important
Toslink is
question?
optical.
Yeah, sure, Josh,
Maybe.
please save us.
Are you,
Same thing.
can you hammer this down to 1 atom thick?
You did not save us.
I
It's
mean,
not-
I guess
Okay, so Josh actually had a thing there, but that's not the technology in this drive. It's not using heat-assisted magnetic recording.
That's not what he was talking
I
about.
know.
anything else you want to say? About
No, I'm done. I'm done with this.
At 12 terabytes, Alan, is that like a tape drive? I mean, how did they fit all them bits in there?
It's called helical scan.
All right, so Western Digital has a $500 12 terabyte hard drive. When's our red come out?
The 10 terabyte reds aren't out yet.
Oh.
So you got a little bit of a wait. Probably because consumer demand is not necessarily up
I
there.
demand a 12 terabyte hard drive for $299.
Well,
10 cents a gig.
add that
Wait,
to
no,
the-
no, no, no.
That'll
take
happen.
It back.
That'll
Take it
happen when the
back.
10 cents a gig thing
That's
happens.
$1,200 a drive. Take it back. All right. Jeremy posted this one up too. Epic headed for the top of the charts. This is a friend of mine, guy I know, Patrick Kennedy, who runs a website called Serve the Home, published. And he does really, really great work on these server parts that we don't get in and we don't really have the knowledge to test yet. And we're kind of just still learning how some of this stuff works. He's been doing it forever. His setup at his office is amazing. We're getting him on for. We wanted to do an interview and talk about his Epic testing versus Xeon testing. I think it'd be really interesting, Josh. We need to schedule time for this. But he did some testing of Epic, and Jeremy has this quote here: like, while AMD is very competitive at the high end, its mainstream offerings are competing with defeatured Xeon Silver CPUs and absolutely obliterate what Intel is offering. You can see in this shot here. This gives you. By the way, this is the battle of the ginormous processors, because these are Epics, which are the same size as Threadripper parts.
Yeah.
And these are the Xeon Scalable cores.
Which are business card sized.
Holy moly.
They're a little narrower.
Jeez, oh Pete's.
Yeah.
Also, come on, Patrick. You got to clean that one off.
Do you remember how big the Pentium Pros were?
Yeah, I've got one in the back.
They
Or
were
over
just
there.
as big.
Yeah, they were. That's true.
Yeah.
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 And people melted them down for the gold.
That's
That's
why
true.
they're so the one I got, I took from a computer recycling center because they had them all laid out. Those are worth a pretty good chunk of money at the recycling center. And I bought it off a guy for like $20 or something like that, just because like I want to have one of each of these things. But anyway, Patrick,
So that was your cover story.
what? I wasn't melting it down for gold.
I know.
If I was doing that, I would sell it to him.
I just want one of each of these things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He also is one who gave me the discs, the platters out of the hard drives, like from what was the old size, like the hard drives were this big around.
The like the Winchester drives or whatever they were called.
So Patrick tested the EPIC 7351P. It's a 750 drive tested against Intel's Xeon Silver 4108, which is about 440 in various server applications, such as GROMACS, OpenSSL, and even a chess benchmark. Single socket EPICs, even though they are offered in dual, I guess.
So was he
benchmark
just
Intel
going-
Xeon in both single and dual socket configurations. Only time the Xeon's performance came close to a single socket 7351P were when they were configured in dual socket systems. Even then, AMD's EPIC chip came out on top, often by a significant margin.
So what? What's this Xeon that's $440?
It's a defeatured Xeon Silver. So, oh man, they go Xeon Platinum,
Right. We
Gold,
went through those
Silver,
lines.
Bronze.
It just seems like I'm surprised there's a Xeon with a
Can
decent
Google
number
what
of
a
cores.
Xeon Silver 4108 is? My guess is it's like 10 cores or maybe 8 cores or something like that.
So he was
Like
going
it's-
for price parity.
Yeah.
As close
It
as
is
he
a
could get it.
1.8 gigahertz 8-core processor.
Okay. So
Oh.
super low clock,
Okay.
low core count for Xeon.
Yeah.
Turbo is 3.
So 1.8 to 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's
Yeah,
the
all right.
EPIC running at? Isn't that a 4 gigahertz
Yeah, I don't know.
chip?
Google what the EPIC 7351P is as well.
Ah.
So some of the interesting stuff about this. Got it yet?
Yeah, it's a 16-core 32-thread 2.4 to 2.9.
That doesn't seem fair.
So, but it's the price parity.
It's the price
That's
point
true.
is where you're looking
That's
at,
true.
right? And so it's one socket versus 2 socket. Raw performance is not the only advantage AMD offers. The feature test also far outstrips somewhat watered down Xeon Silver family. The single socket EPIC has 128 PCIe lanes, while dual socket Xeon Silver only offers 96, and the EPIC can handle up to 2 terabytes of DDR4 memory and its 8-channel memory controller, while the Intel it can only do up to 1.5 terabytes in a dual socket configuration. So it's pretty interesting stuff, and I've been, since he published his first review of EPIC and comparing it to Xeon Scalable on the high end. This was kind of looking at the mid-range to low-cost server market. He's done really, really good stuff. And I want to have him on here to talk about what all that means, because none of us have like a lot of server testing experience. He's been doing it forever, and he's one of the best people, if not the best guy out there doing it. And in fact, I'm a little bit jealous because every time I go to one of these server events with him and I'm like, I'm learning about Xeon Scalable, he's like, here, come here, Ryan. And we come over to the corner and we talk about it. He's like, yeah, I've been testing this for 2 or 3 weeks and here's how it actually performs and all stuff. So he's getting it before I'm being briefed on it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, all right.
What do you mean? We have a rack now. We're totally
We do.
equipped
We do have
for
a
testing
half
server
rack.
equipment.
With a Plex server in it, and we're ready to accept other servers.
We've
now.
got switches.
We got 10 gigabit
No,
networks.
I'm sorry that is a dish drying rack,
And
and the switches are very short.
They're the light switch
that
next to
you whip
the-
can around.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Whatever. If I can still write it in
You are
an
not
email and not be
prepared.
lying, it's okay for Intel and AMD to send me these servers based on this
We
technology.
have lots of racks.
All right.
Yes.
Got
We
lots
don't
of
wanna get into the racks.
IKEA lack tables.
Oh, IKEA LAC is our rack mount solution. It's
true.
Yeah. I see no, I see
All
no
hail
problem
the
with
LAC
any
rack.
of this.
How many lacks does Sebastian have within current view?
He's in his basement.
No, he's not.
Oh, he's not?
Oh, I'm upstairs. I
Oh.
actually none. This is I think No, this is Calyx or Expedit. I don't remember.
There are no little tiny coffee tables near you.
I have an Expedit cube next to me.
See, I haven't been to IKEA in
I
a long
also have
time.
an
I don't know
IKEA
the
bed.
new names. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe that's my weekend project. Go IKEA and relearn all the new names.
No. Well, you can use that IKEA
Every time
AR
I take-
kit app that they launched today.
Oh yeah.
It works
Every
pretty
time
well.
I go to IKEA and I take my daughter, it's like a 4-hour trip
Yeah.
because she wants to sit in every chair
Well, that's how I am
on
at
every
IKEA.
couch in every preset of room.
How is that different from anyone else?
Yeah, no, that's just IKEA.
That's fair.
I've never been to IKEA. Usually I just stack boxes on top of each other, as you can tell.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Josh's
Throw a
head
little
would
calyx in
explode.
there.
Are those motorcycle helmets behind you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Where have you been for the
I
last?
used to ride motorcycles, and then they got stolen from me in Laramie, Wyoming.
Those
out of
helmets
my
have been there
backyard.
for like 5
You
years.
should find the other guy in Laramie and ask for your motorcycles back. Sorry. All right.
I thought those were like immersive VR helmets.
Right. That's what I was thinking so too. Although I do believe now that we're in like this higher resolution thing, go back to Josh's shot real fast.
Oh God, do you?
I think they're dusty.
They are. I told you they've been
They
there for
are
5
dusty.
years.
Everything. My whole life is dusty.
I think that front helmet used to be. I think that front helmet used to be black.
No, it's green
Oh.
and blue with a gold visor. So
The gold visor still stands out then, so it's good.
Yeah.
You should
Sure
just
does.
wear it during the show.
Just paint it into be a Master Chief.
We'll have
helmet
our
at
own
that point.
Stig.
yeah.
Who could it be?
could it
You'll
be?
never know. The
Wait.
background stays the same.
I'll be talking like this.
No. Stig doesn't talk. You just got to stare at the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I'll ask you yes or no questions. You
Yeah,
can
yeah,
just
yeah.
nod or shake. Before you go on to the next story, we're looking at Intel's Manufacturing Day. We get to talk to Josh again. We have 3 Patreon editions. Will You Review Modems just edited their pledge from $5 to $10 a month.
No, we will not
No.
review modems.
Only if it's a
But-
Win modem.
But still, you keep going up, Will You Review Modems, and we'll see what we can do. Randy Fox just pledged $5. Thank you very much, Randy.
Randy Fox, he gets around.
And oh my God, Smitty Werben Jaeger Manjensen. Werben Jaeger.
That's a
Mansionson.
SpongeBob reference.
It's a what?
That's a SpongeBob reference.
SpongeBob.
Yes. That's a
Now we know how
SpongeBob
old he
reference.
is versus the rest of us. 'Cause he watched SpongeBob. Smitty pledged $1. Thank you very much for that. Thank you,
We've
everybody.
reviewed Killer Nicks, and technically those modulate and demodulate, so I think we've checked the box.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
They're modems. Nicks are modems. I'm cheaping out, but you know.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Let's talk to Josh about the Intel Tech Day, where they had some interesting stuff. There's actually 2 interesting process technology announcements today. First one from Intel. What did they have to say about, I don't know, 10 nanometer, 14 nanometer, 10, 7, 5, 0 nanometer, whatever else they got? Yeah.
Okay, we've got multiple things that they covered here. The first is, I believe it's, correct me,
You're
is
wrong.
it Canyon Lake?
For
That
what?
is going to be on 14 nanometer plus.
The,
Or is it Canon?
so Coffee Lake is the one that's coming out
Coffee
later this
Lake.
year. Yeah. And Cannon
Yeah,
Lake is the
that's-
one that
that's-
will be 10, I think.
Cannon Lake, yeah. So Canyon Lake is not a product that I know of, but I was Coffee,
It's a secret.
Cannon. Oh. So anyway, 14 nanometer plus is one of their big things that they're moving to. Everybody hopes that process cadence is on a 2-year schedule, or what is it? Moore's law is every 24 months. Transistor density increase doubles. Well, we've kind of been beating that one around, and Intel keeps saying that Moore's law is alive and well, but in fact, it's really not. But we can pretend it is.
I mean,
But anyway.
hey, everybody's got to do something.
Yeah, you gotta. And so Coffee Lake's coming out here soon. That's their 14 nanometer plus product. Then they've got a more mobile centric that will be showing up, 14 nanometer plus plus. Now, they've been talking quite a bit about 10 nanometer. Then, they're making some pretty good points here. Their density is going to be greater than anybody else's if they get it out anytime soon. Because we've talked about this before, a lot of these, nanometer product nodes have no relation to any actual physical geometries on the chip. And so it's like TSMC had their 16 nanometer FinFET. Well, in reality, it was more of a 20 nanometer front end with FinFETs, and you didn't get the density improvements that we were hoping from like 28 nanometer to 16 nanometer.
Oh, sure.
It wasn't quite there. Samsung's 14 nanometer was bigger in geometries than Intel's 14 nanometer, even though Intel was out first with their product. And we're kind of looking at the same thing. 10 nanometer from TSMC, Samsung, they're going to be bigger in terms of geometry. Their density is not going to be as good. And supposedly the performance is not going to be as well good as what Intel is offering. However, we have seen wafer shots and heard about products, but there's a lot of doubt right now about the health of Intel's 10 nanometer process. Now, eventually, they're going to get things fixed out because they've got money, they've got engineers, and they're going to work through the issues. But we're not going to see 10 nanometer this year. What they did show off is that they do have test wafers of 10 nanometer Cannon Lake stuff, and probably even more interesting.
Do you think that
if you scroll down?
Do you think that wafer's going to work when he's done with it?
The chips in the middle
with his
might.
bare hands, he's going to go and rub some peanut butter on top of it and serve canopies from it. So no, it's not. Usually when you see wafers like that actually have, you can actually see the patterns on it. They've already been stained, and so they're typically not useful. So anyway, they showed those off. Now the most interesting thing is that they actually fabricated ARM A75 cores in a CPU that was synthesized by Intel, and they showed it off, and they claim that the performance is in excess of 3 gigahertz for these CPUs.
World exclusive Intel designs best ARM processor ever.
x86 is dead. Long live ARM.
Well, you know what? Intel did in fact abandon the mobile market, and so why not?
Yeah,
you got to keep these fabs used.
Correct.
You've got to get money in the fabs, keep them going 24 hours a day, so you can develop better processes and keep ahead of the competition, so that your bread and butter CPUs, your desktop, and especially your server stuff can still be a generation or half a generation ahead of the competition when it comes to process technology.
It's essentially, okay, I give up. I can't make parts as good as you can make them. How about I make them for you, and you give me the money with which to crush my other enemies. That's how I do it.
So it's like HTC and Google.
It's a little bit like HTC and Google right now, yeah.
Sure. But Intel has a hard enough time with 14 nanometer to keep their fabs running 24/7.
They have a lot.
They've got to shut them down and shut down the lines every once in a while because they can't keep flooding the market with chips, and it costs money to do that. But if they can, and they've been trying to balance this out with a lot of FPGAs, Xilinx, Z-Links, whatever, and a couple other partners that they've done that. But once you, and again, go down to 10 nanometer, how big have their CPUs really become? Sure, with the Xeon stuff, they're big, but the majority of i3, i5, i7s that will be coming out, they're still going to be extremely small. And the market, even though it's still healthy, it's not exactly growing at the rate it used to. I mean, in fact, it's just kind of staying pretty steady.
Yeah, that's true.
And so as you lower the manufacturing process, the more dies you get out per wafer. And say you've got 4 fabs that are using this, and you go down a node, and your market share stays the same, and the consumers are only buying the same. The next thing you know, you've got one of the 4 fabs being extremely underutilized, and that's billions and billions of dollars that's just kind of going to waste. So it makes sense for them to just kind of abandon the design of the mobile market, because ARM really is a better architecture for these sub 1 watt parts that are in cell phones. Intel just couldn't get x86 down there effectively enough. And so it makes sense for them to say, hey, you know what? Producing dies for you at a cost that I can still break even with this fab is still better than me closing that fab down and losing billions. And this is in a market that I'm no longer participating in. So it's kind of a win for you, and it's a win for me, because all these billions I invested in this fab will not go to waste.
Agreed.
It took Intel a while to figure this one out. A long while.
I'm taking my ball and going home. Okay, you can borrow it for $5 an hour. That's what it went from and then to.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for that. I do appreciate that. We'll talk with Josh a little bit more when we talk about Global Foundries here at the end of the story. We do have 2 more Patreon notifications to talk about. First one comes in an edited pledge from $10 to $11 from HSA Foundation AMD Checkmate. I don't quite follow.
I know what those words mean individually.
It's been a long time since we heard from the HSA Foundation, really.
Yeah,
so if that Patreon contributor would like to make another suggestion, they just need to increase that Patreon amount. And then we have a change from $3 to $4 from Darth Malventano, Dark Lord of the Bits.
That needs to be a t-shirt.
Needs to be on a t-shirt. Is the full name of this thing.
Anthony, get on that.
Darth Malventano, Darth Lord of the Bits.
What's our Patreon contributor count now?
Our individual count?
Yeah,
like
we were at like
numerics?
414 at the beginning of the podcast.
You could just be doing
well, we've had a lot of increases. We're 414, now we're 420.
Be doing the force thing, and the bits will just.
Oh no, that means we lose.
Hashtag 420.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We won't be associated with those
I'm
drug
35
people.
years old. I don't know what any of this means anymore. Let's talk instead about some new Nooks that are coming out.
Yes, let's do that.
As Jeremy talks about it, the Knuckle Up, baby. We're off to Hades Canyon. What
I get it.
does that mean?
Well, it's a pun because they're Nooks and then like Knuckle Up. You know,
I get it. I get it.
Knuckle up.
So Sebastian, tell me about this.
Q2 2018,
The future.
as the NXSoft is reporting, that's the source for this, are some new Nooks that are actually really interesting. If you look into this story, they are very high wattage CPUs.
Yeah,
we're talking
like
66
100
watt and 100 watt.
100 watt Nook.
Some unknown i7.
That's
the
also-
i7 is listed as XXXXK, so it's probably going to be 8th or 9th generation.
That's a hairdryer.
And it supports up to 6 displays, 2x Thunderbolt 3s, but it has dedicated graphics. The dedicated graphics chip is not listed, but these are going to be like a VR ready box with a dedicated GPU.
In a Nook?
One is, yeah. So there's going to be like a Hades Lake VR and then a non-VR SKU.
I will say I
with a
like the
slightly lower
name.
powered
Yeah.
CPU.
Fan of the name.
It's
They
better
do-
than
they
Bean
do
Canyon,
mention-
which is a
They
little
does
lower.
say in these slides that it's X generation core, but they call it KBLH, Kaby Lake H.
It's for high power.
Well, no, Kaby Lake H is a thing. Like it's
Oh,
It's like the
it's
the CPU
it's like
in the
the
notebook we
7700
reviewed.
HQ.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's the full quad core hyper threaded part in the laptop
Sure
that
as
can
crap,
look
not
at.
100 watts.
What I mean, DX. The discrete graphics is what's the interesting part there. I mean, that's
I
how you
mean,
get. That's how you
yeah.
get to 100 watts.
I mean, if you think about all of the XPS 15, which is a 7700 HQ and has a GTX 1050 in it,
yeah.
there's no reason you can't do a Nook doing that.
I mean, I guess
There's
not.
no reason you can't make a Nook that does that.
I mean,
We've
I
definitely
presume.
seen mini PCs with discrete GPUs from companies like Zotac and
Sure.
others in the
Gigabyte.
past. So
True.
I'm just curious to see what this is going to look like. Obviously, the Skull Trail, is that what it was?
Skull Canyon.
Skull Canyon
Yeah.
Nook was,
That was cool
an
looking.
unusual form factor for a Nook.
yes, it was wider, flatter.
I imagine
Yeah.
it would be that for
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if not bigger.
Why?
I think bigger with 100 watt TDP to
Especially if you don't want to
contend
have
with.
some wee fan involved in the situation, right?
Yeah.
Like, because you're not doing that passively in any capacity, right? Or
No.
They also have like Bean Canyon, which I think is
I saw that Bean Canyon coming in
Baby
in
Canyon.
2018. That's going to be like your standard 28 watt part. This is going to be a more conventional, like the smaller Nook. Still going to have triple display support, Thunderbolt 3, the latest connectivity, like 2x2, AC wireless.
But you'll be able to get the 4-core stuff in there at that
Yeah,
point.
4-core 8-thread at the top.
So we'll have to talk to my buddy Alan over there and ask about who comes up with the names Baby Canyon, Bean Canyon.
So
I understand for them, they talk about it every day, so it makes sense. It just rolls
Yeah.
off the tongue. For me, I'm trying to keep track of all this stuff and 10 other companies' roadmaps, and I have to deal with Bean Canyon, Baby Canyon, Rock Canyon. What do they got down
Carrot
there?
Canyon,
June Canyon, Arches
Garbanzo
Canyon,
Bean Canyon.
Pinnacle Canyon.
What the heck?
There's a lot of canyons involved here.
Do we need to start printing out cheat sheets?
Nah.
If Alan would send me a cheat sheet that I could print out and tape to my monitor,
Yeah,
I
we
would
need like a
absolutely
wall,
do
like a
that.
poster.
Yeah,
That's probably what it is.
That's true.
What's sad is that it's actually become easier just to look at that convoluted name of the Nook to figure out what it is. Like, oh, NUC 8i7BEH. Okay, of course. That's Bean Canyon 8th Gen i7. All right, good.
The top, the 100-watt guy there has 2 Thunderbolts. What else? Okay, yeah. It does mention. It doesn't mention any 2.5 SATA drives.
Probably can't fit them.
Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, clearly they're not tied to the standard Nook chassis because the Skull Canyon was not a little bit. It was significantly different than that.
Yeah.
Right, it just had the 2 M.2 slots. There was no 2.5 inch. It was a slimline design.
2 dual gigabit networking, 802.11 AC 2x2, and Bluetooth 4.2 on those top machines.
Yeah, that's just a computer at that point.
Yeah, 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports, 6 display output.
Yes, you're right. This is a computer.
Wait, no, I thought it. What?
2 HDMI, 2 mini display port, plus 2 Thunderbolt USB-C. Oh, it says Thunderbolt 3 or USB-C. I assume that's the same thing. Interesting.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on there, for sure.
I want to know what that DGFX is.
Yeah, I mean,
Vegas 64.
no. I mean, it's going to be like GTX 1050, right? Like, it's going to be a GTX 1050.
No, it's going to be Intel's own in-house GPU.
No.
Which I've forgotten the name of.
Knights something? Knights derivative?
Well, they have plenty of in-house GPUs.
What was
There's
that
crappy and built into
dedicated
graphics.
GPU concept
Or
they
built-in
had?
CPUs.
Larrabee?
Larrabee, that's right. This is the return of Larrabee. You heard it here first.
You heard it here first, but
The
don't tie
man
my name to
from
it.
Larrabee.
They'll have a discrete GPU. It would just be another one of their CPUs with the CPU disabled, with the only using the GPU.
Yeah.
No, Alan, is a blank die on the board.
Yeah,
okay.
blank.
we didn't talk about
We're
that.
not going
we
to get fooled
didn't.
by that
We
again.
didn't talk about that. We'll talk about that in the post show and whatever the hell that is. NVIDIA Ansel and Shadowplay support. So NVIDIA's been doing a lot of these iterative upgrades to things. So Ansel is their, how do you describe this? It's like
Screenshot utility.
it's like a screenshot utility, but it's way more
like a 3D
advanced than
screenshot
that,
utility.
right? Like
Yeah.
you basically get to pause the game in real time and then move around the
The
camera.
photo viewer mode.
It's what?
Their photo mode.
It is. It's really cool when you see it actually work. But it's the ability to like it pauses the game even if you're like in a single player environment that would not normally support that, and you can move the camera around and apply effects and take these high resolution
and then the
screenshots.
screenshot is a higher resolution and
Well, it could be native to what you're looking at, or you
Right.
could do like super resolution where it's like it goes to 4K per screenshot and then it ties them all.
and even in
stitches them all
even in
together.
higher settings than what you would normally play the game in too.
Oh yeah,
Like in addition to the resolution
like
thing, like
8K, 12K, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the incredibly
You know
cool
what? You know
stuff.
what strikes me as most funny about Ansel? And this is going a little bit back in time. Remember during the GeForce FX 3D Mark thing, when 3D Mark could actually stop, and then you could rotate the camera around,
I do
and
remember
you could
that.
see
Yeah,
what
that was like 3D
NVIDIA
Mark
was not
11.
doing. What's that?
It's like 3D Mark 06.
It was like 06 or something. But yeah, that's where they found out that they were doing some interesting things with rendering
Because you go behind an object and it wasn't there.
Correct.
Oh, like
and they
didn't even
turned
exist?
around and there was
Yeah.
like a muddle of pixels in this world space that were not discarded as they were supposed to have been, and all
Agreed.
kinds of other fun things. So
Yeah.
it's kind of funny to think that Ansel does that same thing. But
And so Ansel does require like game developer intervention, right? Like
Yeah.
they have to add support into it. NVIDIA provides the API. They've added Ansel support to Witcher 3, Hellblade, Pro Evolution Soccer. What else we got? They're up to 25 titles.
Oh,
now,
you can
so quite a
capture
bit.
HDR now with Ansel.
Middle Earth, Shadow of Mordor. They're giving away 50,000 of those codes. Okay. Well, that's the old game,
why
right?
the hell did I buy one of those
Yeah,
for
that's the old game.
$5?
The other thing they added
Very well.
was so Shadowplay highlights. I don't know if we've talked about this before, but it's Shadowplay highlights. So Shadowplay is this constant recording of stuff in the background while you're gaming, right? So if something cool happens and you have like a pre-record of 30 seconds, it's always keeping the most recent 30 seconds recorded.
Yeah.
And if you hit a button, you say record the last 30 seconds. That was a cool moment that happened. You can do that. If you support something called Shadowplay highlights, which I think, what was that? The first game that did it, or one of the most recent games that did it.
PlayerUnknown's
Cliffy B.
Battlegrounds.
No, but that one's the one we're talking about. But Cliffy B's game or whatever. I don't know what it's called.
Lawbreakers is the one we're talking about.
No. I thought we were talking about PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
Both of those are mentioned in this article.
Oh, okay. But so the ability then is that the game has the API integrated into it. It knows when something cool has happened because it's the game.
Yeah.
Right. And it automatically saves that for you, even if you didn't previously have Shadowplay enabled.
So it saves the scene.
It saves like the event that occurred,
Yeah.
a couple seconds, the seconds building up
Yep.
to it, the seconds after it.
So then you can go back
it
into
saves it.
that after
You
with
can
the
go
camera.
back in, decide if you want to save it, whatever you want to do.
That's cool.
It's pretty cool. They've added it into PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, which obviously is still the biggest game in PC gaming. What did it just recently eclipse?
It was most concurrent users on Steam, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It beat,
beating
like,
Dota 2.
Yeah. So it crossed,
Wow.
not forever, but for like a moment in time, it had more live players than Dota 2, right?
It's crazy.
And this is like an incredibly small development team. I love reading the stories about this development team and how they just created this thing that they wanted to do, and now they're multimillionaires, right? How many? What are they up to? Was it 4 million copies sold?
But no, I think it's 10,
Up to 10 million copies sold, and it's $20, right?
30.
Wow.
There you go. So $300 million of revenue, and minus whatever Steam's cut is, minus
Like
whatever
30%.
you
30%.
Is it 30? That's Apple. Is it Steam 30?
I
too?
imagine they do
I think
the same.
Steam's like 30, yeah. I think so.
Seems high, but whatever. Hey, if I had $300 million, you could take 30%. But then the government comes and takes 50%.
Yeah.
Damn Steam and the government. So anyway, NVIDIA integrated Shadowplay highlights, worked with the developer to get that into PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds and Lawbreakers as well. So it's just kind of cool that kind of support is integrated in there. Ansel support added into some recent games as well. And apparently NVIDIA is giving away 50,000 Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor game codes, which is an older game now, right?
Yeah, it's like 20.
It's not the new one. I'll make sure we clarify that. It's not the new game. It's Shadow of War is the new one that's coming out. But Shadow of Mordor. So if you haven't played that yet, it's a good game. It won many Game of the Year awards. So if you can get one of the 50,000 free ones from NVIDIA, do that as well. In our last story of the week, we come back to Josh to talk about Global Foundries and Process Tech. So they had an event called GTC, which, ironically enough, NVIDIA holds an event called GTC. They had several cool announcements, one of which was 12 nanometer FinFET tech that we were talking about in Slack earlier. It's kind of like 14 nanometer plus, right?
Yeah, they announced a couple of new products. Now we know that they have products like 28 nanometer, 28 FDX, which is a fully depleted 28 nanometer. They have a new one called 22 FDX, which they're kind of excited about, and it not only does with good work with low power ASICs, like if you want Internet of Things where the leakage is incredibly low on this. It's still a planar design as compared to FinFET, but it has a lot of FinFET type performance enhancements, and with FD-SOI, it's a little bit better, especially in leakage. It also has RF functionality. RF is becoming incredibly important now, especially with 5G and 6 gigabit per second throughput. That is all RF technology. That's that stuff in modems that converts this RF signal to bits that your CPU and SoC can use. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
Nope, you're right.
I don't think so. Okay. But anyway, they talked about a couple of new things. The big one is the 12LP process. This looks like it is an optimization of their current 14 nanometer, which is a licensed Samsung product. They've done work on it. I don't know what kind of licensing they continue to do with Samsung to be able to develop a product off of theirs, but they are offering it. And it's, I think, 15% denser than current 14 nanometer and 16 nanometer products, which is kind of an iffy thing to say because 16, well, we talked about this before. Marketing terms, size, whatever. But it's also about 10% increase in performance from their previous 14 nanometer part. So in Zen, if you had something that ran at 4 gigahertz, you would think, oh, well, that would mean, an extra 10% performance is going to be 4.4. Well, it doesn't quite work that way. You're going to get a smaller chip, and you're probably going to be able to see top-end performance hitting 4.2 gigahertz or so in the thermal constraints that they're looking at, and with yields and bins being kind of optimal. Now, because this is an enhancement of 14 nanometers, it's about ready to go. They're doing Q1 2018 risk production, which, from my understanding, risk production is when the guys who order these wafers, they don't have a lot of the kind of safety measures that just doing a regular process node. So a lot of times they'll do agreements that says, hey, I'll pay for per good die from this wafer. So that makes the foundry guys make sure that they get good yields, good bins, as compared to say, we're going to buy this wafer and we're going to throw that through. And even if you have 2 good dies out of that entire wafer, you're going to pay the same amount per wafer. And so risk production is you pay pretty much per wafer. And not only that, but during production, they're going to be also tuning and enhancing the process as it goes. So you could get some interesting variations of yield and bins at the end of each week when a new batch of wafers kind of comes out. So there's a lot of risk involved, hence the name. But one of the big announcements was that AMD was going to be doing their next refresh of Zen and Vega on this 12 nanometer process. So risk production first half, and so we'd expect to see products from AMD maybe in midsummer. So we're talking June, July, well, probably July, August before we see these refreshes. So that's good news for AMD. And it's another option for manufacturers to take something that's not 14 nanometer, give you a little bit more density, a little bit more performance, something that probably is going to be fairly mature off the bat just because it is developed from a previous processor technology. They're still planning on their 7 nanometer, which AMD I know is designing Zen 2 around, but we don't have a real good timeline for that. I would say that probably that is more of a 2019 product than anything. I know that Global Foundries wanted to skip 10 nanometer, go directly to 7 nanometer. But again, we're dealing with marketing terms rather than reality, because other guys have announced 7 nanometer stuff, and that's going to be EUV based. But Global Foundries 7 nanometer is definitely not EUV. So it's going to be interesting over the next year and a half to see where process technology goes. Again, they're really pushing RF because that's an area where they feel with the FD-SOI and just their expertise at SOI in general. Because if you remember, all of AMD's stuff from, gosh, I can't remember what, 140 nanometer, 150 no, is it 90 nanometer and below? Was all SOI, PD-SOI? These details, they escape me. And so, out of all the manufacturers and foundries in the world, they probably have the best expertise of any kind of SOI production, because they've been doing it so long. AMD took big risks to do SOI, and it paid off for quite a while for the company. And so it's going to be fun to see. Maybe Global Foundries will finally hit the promise that they've been giving for many, many years since it spun off from AMD as their manufacturing arm.
They have seemingly struggled to stay at the peak of fabrication technology, right? So it would be nice for that to shift for them. I guess we'll jump into our hardware software picks of the week. I've got mine ready. It's the new illumination here at the set at PC Perspective. Well, part of it, I guess.
Part of it.
Sort of.
Philips Hue. So these were just some. They're basically just lights that we can control the color temperature on, right? Fairly easily through an iPad or whatever, anything you can install the Philips app on. Actually, I think we're using a third-party app to do it. Is it just because it's easier to do?
Yeah. The Hue app doesn't exactly give you, as long as I could find, direct input a color for the color temperature. It's more like different moods.
Yeah.
But it's
like
in their
presets.
API, so third-party apps can take advantage of it.
Got it. So this I linked here just to the starter kit, which is the Hue controller, which you attach to your network. Which is what's standard is this? Is this a Zigbee?
Yes.
Okay, so it's part of the Zigbee group. But then that's what allows you. It creates kind of the Wi-Fi communication that it connects to the other devices with. So we've got 6 bulbs in some of these overhead lights here that we're controlling. Did we adjust the color temperature today at all, or did we leave it at where it was at?
We did. Yeah, it's the 38.
Okay, 3800. So it's $150, and you get 4 light bulbs and a controller. And
so those are the color light bulbs in the one.
Oh, these are the RGB ones.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I believe.
I don't know the answer to that. Yeah, it looks like it is. Yes. Yeah, you're right, because I only paid $99 for the four bulbs plus controller. This is 3 bulbs, 3 RGB bulbs plus controller. So there's a bunch of different combinations.
But they do make cheaper ones that you can only adjust the temperature of, as opposed to.
And then they make ones that make ones that you can even adjust the color temperature of.
That are just on or off and dimming capability.
You pick cool white or
you choose your color temperature.
You pick cool or soft.
They're incredibly expensive, and I had always been interested in them. But never bought them at the house or anything like that. But for here, it made sense for us being able to control color temperature. We were trying to change some of our lighting setup.
I have none of the color temperature ones, but we probably have 20 bulbs in our apartment home. Almost every bulb is a Zigbee bulb. We usually use Cree makes
do they?
Like a less than $20 bulb for just standard white. That's what we
now
have a lot of.
Now you can control it with your Amazon Echo.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what we do.
Which is what we do here. Come back to us. Let me try this.
But you're going to set
Alexa, turn off the studio.
And now we're dark.
It did. I mean, I guess it did change a little bit. Alexa, turn on the studio.
You can see the glare on the TV.
yeah, down here.
Did that even really do anything? I was looking at
it. It did. Yeah.
I mean,
we got the extra fill lights.
Your face looks less red, Alan, with the full studio lights.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Yeah. IKEA also
has. Have you been drinking alcohol, Alan?
Ryan has. I've been smelling it all podcast.
You're flushing
even the smell
now.
gets him.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, that's because it's I don't know, when it's dry. My face gets unhappy.
Do you have laser treatment for that?
Laser surgery?
He needs them. Let's talk to Josh. What is your pick here? What do you got?
So something a little odd, but something that has saved my life. I bought one of these things kind of from this group about 20 years ago. And it's just a little pancake pump.
What?
What?
Little portable air compressor. They're inexpensive.
I was hoping
they plug into the DC outlet
air
in your
compressor
car.
pump, right?
And boy, that saved me 4 times this year. I've had really bad luck with punctures. Nice to have them.
Hey, look, they're plugging in a Volkswagen.
Yeah.
Volkswagens don't have any mechanical dropouts or anything.
And for only
They don't have
$55,
magical
that's a lot of
tires.
peace of mind. It's a lot of peace of mind that'll last quite a few years.
Yeah.
The chat has it covered. A Swedish tire pump. They picked up on what I was going for there.
All right, that's not too bad. All right, good job. Hey, Josh, good job.
Hey, thanks.
Sebastian, what do you got?
That's mine.
Oh, that's right. Wait. We're in a different order.
Alan.
Sebastian, what do you got?
Okay, so
Reach.
Blade Runner finally came out on UHD Blu-ray. You can see
Why?
this. Why not?
What?
What year was it recorded?
It's on film.
Doesn't
it
matter.
was shot on film, 35 millimeter, and the effect shot were done at 65.
Did they
And when
remaster it?
restored it back in like 2006, 2007. Sorry, I can hear myself. It's very distracting. They scanned it in at 4K. In fact, they scanned the effect shots in at 8K. So they already had the 4K intermediate cut. And when it was released on Blu-ray, obviously it was just a 1080p, and it was actually a low quality Blu-ray. It was only a BD25 that Warner Brothers released it on. So what you're getting with this is what averages out when I was watching it to be like 60 to 70 megabit per second, very high quality transfer, all in 4K, true 4K. Looks phenomenal. It's HDR10 encoded, and the HDR effects. This movie is extremely well known for the quality of the cinematography and the lighting. There are shots where a light is coming up over somebody's shoulder or something, and it looks like I was watching it in the dark, and it looked like there was like a light shining out of my TV. HDR was well implemented with this. So anyway, to get this movie, which I was going to make my pick, and it's sold out everywhere. It's back ordered again.
Don't worry, you can get from $75 with third-party sellers on Amazon.
Yeah. I had pre-ordered mine, and it went out of stock immediately. It came back into stock, and as of today, it's out everywhere again. I just checked, like DVD Planet and stuff is all back ordered. But to watch this, I didn't have a UHD Blu-ray player. For just over $200 on Amazon, you can buy the Sony UBP X800, which is actually a really cool, very complete disc player and multi-format player. It plays every kind of disc you can think of, including like audio formats like DVD audio and SACDs and all the like movie formats. It has USB to support every other conceivable type of video file and audio file. It even does, not only does it do all the 24-bit audio formats, it does double rate DSD. So literally everything is covered. And then it had a couple of nice convenience features. One, it has dual HDMI out. So if you're like me and your receiver has 4K video pass through but does not support HDR, like it doesn't have the latest version of the, what is it, the HEDC 2.2 or
HGCP 2.2.
HGCP 2.2. Yeah, I don't have a compliant receiver, but it'll do all the high-res, audio formats, including Atmos. So you can send separately an HDMI to your receiver for audio and then one up to your TV for HDR 4K. And then it also has built-in Bluetooth, so you can stream it quietly to your own Bluetooth headphones. It supports Sony's LDAC for high rate if you have one of the more expensive Sony wireless headsets. So just nice stuff. Cheap for a 4K Blu-ray player.
Ghostbusters.
$10.
Comes with Angry Birds.
Yeah, and through September 30, you can pick out 2 free movies, including the Angry Birds movie.
Okay, good. You don't have to pick Angry Birds. Okay, all right, that's
Choose
better.
from over 15 titles.
All right.
You didn't
I
like the Angry Birds
chose
movie?
Magnificent Seven and something. I don't remember what. And the good thing is I didn't pay anything for them.
That's good. Yeah.
The way I got my 4K Blu-ray player is I found it literally in the Target clearance section. It's this ugly Philips thing that's like a
Oh, you got the
square.
Philips one?
It's
Yeah.
it's an awful looking piece of hardware. It's square and has a tray, and it was $75, and it decodes the Blu-rays. That's all I need.
There you go.
I would never
I will
recommend
say-
someone buy it though.
Blu-rays on this player, the upscaler, is excellent. You would not know this was like a cheaper 4K Blu-ray player. It handles. I've never seen Blu-rays look as good on my current TV as with this Blu-ray player.
That's good. I'm still sticking with my Xbox One S for now, and my non-HDR TV.
I guess I have a One X pre-ordered. If I keep that, then I can ditch the Philips one.
It's true. It's true. You can do that. All right, now Alan, I'll go to you. What do you got? It's a big surprise.
No, well, it's not a big surprise.
Is it a gold drive?
No. So I'm used to when I do wear a watch on occasion, which
Has
don't
been
usually.
almost never.
Almost never. But I have a like a ceramic watch, like a full ceramic watch. Yeah. Anyway.
All right, thumbnail.
So
Awesome.
I'm used to so I'm used to the band being kind of like, having some meat to it, like, and that sort of thing. So, and I ordered an Apple Watch, and I was like, well, I wonder if you can get a ceramic band for one of those.
Yep.
And there's the ceramic, like the whole body of the Apple Watch they make in, what is it, the Edition or whatever, that's like a ceramic watch.
Yeah.
Heck no, I'm not spending that much money on that. That's ridiculous. But I do think it would look cool with the ceramic band. Anyway, if you get the other, the cheaper watch. Right?
Sure.
So I found, just looking around, like $20, Amazon, ceramic watch band for an Apple Watch. Pretty cool. All the links are ceramic.
Stainless steel and ceramics replacement. So what is it? Is it actually ceramic or is it stainless steel?
It's well, it's the clasp is stainless steel. The part that
Sure.
the butterflies, right?
Yep,
Open up.
This part here.
Yeah, and then and it actually comes with, and I didn't notice this because it's not really clear in the listing, but in that picture, or actually in the fourth picture in the upper right, there's this little shell-looking thing. Like that's like a Spigen style like plastic like bumper case for the watch. So if you're worried about like messing up the outside of the watch, like you just kind of stick the watch in that before you put
Why
the
don't you
band
just
on.
wrap yourself
In cellophane?
in cellophane before you come out of the house? $20 is pretty cheap.
That's pretty cheap
Don't
for a
get me
watch
wrong.
band, you know.
Yeah.
And then they make like metal ones. I don't know if they're stainless, but they make probably not stainless, but they make metal ones for like $12. It's like in that same listing. Like make a rose gold one for like $13.
Yeah, we'll see
Like-
how long this lasts.
Yeah, I mean, I'll try it.
I mean, for $20, like buy
Give it a
3,
shot.
whatever.
Yeah.
$20
for
is
sure.
almost a whatever thing
Yeah.
for like, I
Compared
mean,
to their
it's a
prices.
what's like the Apple, stainless steel Link watch band? Is it like
that's like the most expensive
it's like
one.
$600 or something
Yeah.
like that? $20, $600. I think I'll try the $20 one.
Yeah.
I mean, you
It's
could only
just-
buy, let's see, 30 of them for the
Yeah,
same price.
I mean,
So,
it's a watch band. Like,
yeah.
Store them in the freezer.
it's either gonna work. It's either gonna be a watch band or it's not.
I understand. It's either going
Quote
to
of the
hold the
day.
watch together.
It's going to be a
Or it's not.
C-ring,
You'll-
if you know what I mean.
I mean, you'll kind of know. You should know almost immediately whether it works or not as a watch band. So
Words of wisdom
yeah.
from Alvin Multivitamin.
Multivitamin.
All right, that's going to be it, everybody, for this week's episode of the PC Per Podcast. Thank you guys for joining us. PCPer.com/podcast is the URL you can go to find all of our video file links, show notes, subscription links, video files, Patreon link, all that type of stuff. You can find it there. So visit us at PCPer.com/podcast. I'll be back next week with another episode of this show you just watched. I'm Ryan Shrout.
I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm Sebastian Peak.
And I'm Alan Malmontano.
Bye.
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 I'll miss you.
Hello.
Is it me you're waiting for? Wait, looking for?
I don't remember.
Can I see you in my eyes? And I haven't got a clue. Are you somewhere feeling lonely? Or is someone loving you?
So about that Threadripper blank die.
Hey,
Not
guess
so
what?
blank.
They told everyone it was blank, and they're not.
Yeah, it's not.
I knew it. I was
There's
so
a logic.
vindicated by that.
There's a logical thing that everyone assumed until they told the not complete truthiness.
Why would you lie about that though? Like, hey, we have a bunch of junk dies. We throw them on here.
They didn't want to say they have junk dies, probably. Which,
You're going to have a lot of junk dies and ramping up production.
yeah.
What?
So Josh,
So use them.
riddle me this.
What?
How do you
Okay.
how do you bin out junk dies before you put them on a substrate?
They actually have special machines with essentially they're a lot of pins that come down and touch parts of the die
Mm-hmm.
and will send current through there and see if it is acting like it should.
Okay.
And so that's how they test these bare dies.
I just break out a multimeter and touch it down to the wafer.
Basically, yeah.
Beep, beep, beep.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
we're good.
kind of it.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got pads on these dies. I mean, so when you actually see how the die looks, where you've got all those little structures in that,
Right.
that's a sanded down and prepared area, because above that they've got multiple layers as well as the pads that then connect to the different parts of the actual CPU itself.
Mm-hmm.
So when you see a bare die that looks all nice and they've stained it, it's got a couple of layers off the top of it already, or they never finish putting those layers on, because with flip chip technology, those layers are the ones that they get these little miniature ball grid arrays to contact with the die and to send current data, whatever. So yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah, because we were chatting about it when it came up when the actual news item came up. It's like, well, how are they? Or is this some part of their actual process where they do a test on the die before they put it on the substrate, or is that?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, they know if it's a bad die, like,
Yeah, wonder how thorough those tests are. Is it just it takes power and doesn't smoke, or is it actually does a minimal boot process and actually runs some instructions through it?
It does probably quite a bit of stuff, because you've just got all these pads at the bottom, and they've got a machine that goes and touches it, and it does a certain amount of tests, and it sees how fast it can go, what kind of voltage it can handle, all of that stuff, and it probably doesn't take too long per chip. Just it's an automated thing, so it's not a big deal. And they probably, when they first started getting them back, and especially at the beginning, yields were probably 10-15% per wafer, until they got things figured out and made metal layer changes and
so they
got it working like it was supposed to.
So they had plenty of blank dies.
They probably
So
had
to
a lot
speak.
of blank dies, especially when you consider how
not
many
usable, but-
Threadrippers are sold as compared to regular Ryzen chips.
Which is perfectly fine, and it all makes perfect sense. Just don't freaking tell me the other. Just don't tell me that it's only unused silicon, right? Like
Yeah.
that it's
it's just
Not
blank
unused
dies.
silicon.
Just
Blank.
well, like literally blank.
Yeah.
They were trying to be
Literally
they were trying to be too proud, because if you had, we have enough crappy dies that don't work to.
But the truth is, we've only had one processor deconstructed in enough ways to know there could be some that have blank dies because they didn't have enough bad Zeppelin die with which to make all Threadrippers, which would be fine too. Just like
Message that.
just say it. Like if you're gonna
Yeah.
go out, they literally went out of their way to tell us at that tech day that these are blank silicon, right? in an attempt to say we're not wasting money, we're not wasting die. You're not going to be able to unlock these as to higher core counts, like all that stuff, right?
And honestly, that probably only came out because DeBauer did the first unletting of an engineering sample part right before the SIGGRAPH event. So you guys had the question. It was like a couple of days
to
before.
know that there was 4 dies on there.
Otherwise, we didn't
would
know,
not know. We
where
would
they
not
were
know.
at.
Yeah. Correct.
Why would
but
they
if
even
you look
have
at
4
pictures
dies on this
of-
thing unless they were just disabled, though?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Why would they even have 4 dies on the substrate unless there were just 2 that they had disabled after they failed testing?
Well, if they had 4
The whole
worker dies,
concept
it'd
seemed
be-
odd to me. Like, oh, they're there to for balance because it wouldn't work.
Well, you don't want
when we
2
capped
empty.
it.
Yeah, you don't want 2 empty places under the same heat spreader. Like then it would be just trying to,
Yeah,
this
it's-
weird diagonal would
Yeah,
only
but then
have
why is the substrate that big?
Why is a substrate that?
Because
Well-
they wanted to have commonality with Epic and not have. Why have 3?
Why have 3 sockets when you don't need it?
Yeah.
How
When
about
you
it's
can only
actually
use 2,
Epic
and you're not
with
going to
2
save a
of
whole
them
lot of
disabled?
money.
Well,
Yeah.
it's
I mean, it's going to be a slightly different substrate because I think a lot of the power and ground are going to be different. Plus, oh gosh,
They've said it's a
Uh,
different substrate now. They've
yeah.
gone on
But if you
record
look
with
at
that.
if you actually look at delitted Epic versus Threadripper, you could see that half the capacitors are gone
Yeah.
from Threadripper as compared to Epic. So
So I just
when-
soldered those
when-
capacitors.
when Pryor says that they have no pathway to being enabled,
Yeah.
that's essentially it. I mean, you don't have the hardware there to be able to say, "Well, I've got a Threadripper. I'm going to go ahead and unlock all of these unusable dies, and it's going to work." Well, no. I mean, they're essentially fused off from the entire thing. So until you get some actual technical sheets of Threadripper socket versus Epic, we won't really know the answer. But my opinion is there's a lot of data pins that just are not active on Threadripper, even though it has the same amount of pins as Epic.
Yeah, I mean, it's got half the memory channels. So
Yeah. So all those, all the pins related to half of the memory channels are not going to be connected.
Correct.
And the same goes for
Because
the.
where are they going to go?
Yeah.
They got some guy in Taiwan that's just picking off these pins with needle nose pliers. Hell, if you don't get it wrong. Yeah, no.
That's Chrome using all that CPU. What the heck is Chrome doing?
What doesn't Chrome do?
I mean, I only got 5 tabs open. Let me open the Chrome Task
Hey,
Manager.
Josh, how long do I have to have this Knob Creek bottle here before they send us free bourbon?
It's Pirate Bay.
You're already giving them free
I'm not sure.
advertising.
Maybe
Pirate
3
Bay
more
tab.
weeks.
Bitcoin
And do
miner.
you
No
tweet
way.
them every
really,
day?
Alan?
Yeah, Pirate Bay tab.
We didn't report on that story this week, did we?
Bitcoin
No.
mining.
yeah, the
Oh,
proof of
yeah.
work one.
We're gonna do that.
That's
Every
actually
PC per window will now
that's actually happening
Mine
on my
Monero.
laptop right
coin
now.
mine on your GPU.
Your GPU.
See, Ryan, this is why
When
people
that
use
pop-up
AdBlock.
comes up that says, "Would you like to install this driver?" You say yes, please.
It says my Flash player is out of date. Let me click here.
Please enable.
It says I need to open a
across
port
your
on my
system.
router? Okay.
I mean, I like PC Per a lot, so I guess I'll do that.
Lots of
Yeah.
So I got my grandma running Linux on her machine at home because she's managed.
What?
Yes, she has destroyed multiple Mac machines. I was like,
That
nope.
sounds crazy, but I'm with Alex here.
You understand my point of view here,
The
right?
answer is a Chromebook.
Yeah, pretty
the
much.
answer is something that can't become infected every week, so you have to reconstruct people's laptops.
How about a notepad?
What was that thing called? Wasn't it deep freeze or something? What was that?
What? No.
Oh,
There was a thing that every
like
time
a
you're
steady state thing for their OS.
Grant
every
can't
time
save
you
any
reboot the
files. The
box-
computer gets deep freeze every time she reboots.
Every time you reboot the box, it blows away any changes and goes right back to a specific
Where are all the
state.
pictures I right-clicked and
Yeah.
saved from Facebook?
No,
I have
that would
thousands
still-
of them. They're all gone.
It would save the folders you chose. So you could save your desktop, you could save your
But what
files.
if you download malware to the desktop?
Well, that's
you'd
that's
have
where
to
my story
rerun
was
it every
going.
time.
Yeah.
You'd have to rerun it every time you rebooted. You have to reboot and then double click the thing on your desktop is the thing.
Well, every time I go over there when she has some kind of computer problem, there's always like 7 copies of Flash Player Updater.exe on the desktop. It's like,
Bonsai Buddy.
Awesome.
like no,
Bonsai
just
Buddy.
no, no, don't.
Every
But it
time,
said I
every
needed to
time
update.
every time
I
I
needed
go
to
through my
play
wife's
the
MacBook,
latest Facebook
and
Flash.
she
game.
has 4 toolbars on it, and I go, "What did you download?" She goes, "I didn't download anything." And I'm like,
On a Mac.
What did you agree
"Yeah,
to?
oh, it happens on Macs just as much."
Yeah, I mean, you could install fucking toolbars on
Yeah.
a MacBook.
yeah.
Does she have all of the disk images still mounted? Like,
Oh yeah,
like-
yeah.
They're all.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah,
like 30
correct.
different images.
Like
on it.
nothing is
Yeah.
ever unmounted or put
I
in
have-
trash
Eject,
on the-
eject.
Yeah, no. Like you click on it up to the
It's
side.
just double clicking the applications from the disk images, never actually copying them over.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But Mac OS is so much better.
Let's just say I have a Windows laptop on my lap now.
Who makes Knob Creek? Is it their own distillery?
Yeah, out of Knob Creek, Kentucky.
Well, are we sure they're not actually owned by somebody now?
I'm sure they're owned by
Yeah,
somebody.
Josh,
they're
you're
owned by
muted.
somebody.
I'm looking it
So
up.
what's special about that bottle?
Nothing. It's Knob Creek single barrel is the only thing that's special about it.
Is
Deep
it-
in Kentucky, tiny Knob Creek spills and rifles down through the hills,
Knob
like
Creek
the
is pretty
bourbon
tiny.
bearing its name.
Can we put some piano music behind
Josh,
that,
do you have
Ryan?
a-
Can you read that
Do
Do
again?
you
a
have a
little
tiny
slower?
knob, Josh?
There's not
I do
much
have a
of
tiny
Knob
knob.
Creek, but
Okay.
what there is
Ah.
rewards your finding it.
It's
Distilled
being
and
Do you get
Suntory.
bottled
rewarded for finding your tiny
by
knob, Josh?
Knob Creek Distillery, Claremont County,
I
Kentucky.
reward myself, but not others.
I guess none of you guys have been.
Ryan,
down there
could you
for
read
the-
that again, but with more of a Kentucky accent? You sound a little bit too northern.
Deep in the
It's true.
Kentucky tiny Knob Creek,
Oh, there we go.
spills and rifles
There we
down
go.
through the hills.
There we go.
Like the bourbon bearing its name, there's not much of Knob Creek, but what there is rewards your finding it. There's just
Darth-
too corrective grammar.
Darth Malventano.
Distilled and
There's the
bottled by
picture.
Knob Creek Distillery, Claremont, Kentucky. Yeehaw.
They also have a machine gun
That's
shoot,
amazing.
which is amazing.
I didn't bring my tap
Malventano.
bottle over.
He's got a gold
So-
drive
I got gold
that
drives.
he's hammered
The
out.
parent
to one
company
Where
of
am I
Knob
clicking?
Creek,
the imager link in the chat.
There's only like three
Like the recent
actual companies that own any distilleries. It's Beam
Yeah,
Suntory.
the same company makes Jim Beam, Maker's Mark,
It's too hard to
Ultro,
print.
and others.
It's like Beam
too hard to
Suntory, Diageo, and there's a
How did
maybe
he put
one
a hoodie
more.
on me
that
so
makes like
quickly?
yeah, it makes like 99% of
Photoshop?
everything.
Yeah, Photoshop, dude.
That's like
Some people are like ninjas with Photoshop.
well, yeah.
Like, how did you do these 37 operations in
I
less
know
than
there
a
was a
minute?
request that I wear my Sheriff Cali ears and hat during the podcast, but it was not to happen.
Yes, almost working. I can force choke someone's computer. We've
I
been
think
force choking a
if
lot of.
anybody in this room has the ability to break a computer at will, it's gonna be me,
It's true.
right? You know,
You just walk in, things break.
Alan legitimately has a hood on his jacket. He can't like put it up so they can
That's
grab
true.
the screen.
I could have
Get the
just
screen
like,
grab.
you know, I could have just done this.
Eh.
Darth Vader never wore a
Put
Hey,
it
hood.
back
look,
up,
it's the
put it back up.
Unabomber.
Don't worry, he has that photo.
What was that? Was that the first CES?
No.
First or second CES where I was wearing the hoodie and I had the sunglasses on,
Oh, no.
and it was like dusk, right? And like even the people that flip the cards and try to give you like the hooker cards on the strip, like were backing
They won't
away.
touch you.
They were backing away
Whoa,
from me when
those
I
are
walked by.
strippers, not hookers. Come on.
I figured out.
I'm
No.
kidding.
Yeah,
No,
they're
they're
hookers.
hookers.
So I figured out the way to
was
scare off the hooker cards.
joking.
Ken, there's some things you just don't joke about, like dead hookers.
Well, they can't market themselves as hookers, is a joke I was making.
Yeah, but they're total.
They're
Because I've
strippers.
got a great card collection. I've got one of those 3-ring binders. It's like this thick from all the time I've gone to Las Vegas.
The first
I've like
year-
collected them all. I've got some classics in there.
Literally, the first year I went there, I think my buddy Matt came with us. Were you? I don't think you were there. Were you there that year? I don't think you were. But I literally took every card they handed us
Oh,
as
no,
we
I was
came
there
down
that
the
year.
strip. Right, and you came back with like a stack like this, and then we would kind of
No,
go
it
through and
was
figure out
your,
which ones were
brother-in-law.
doubles.
Oh
and
yeah, because
stuff.
there's a lot of dupes.
Yeah, Zach and Matt were both
Yeah,
there. I
no.
think.
Zach and
It's
Matt,
definitely there
and
that
they all
year.
tried to collect as many as
Right,
possible.
correct.
Then we spread them out over the
And
hotel
so then
room.
you like took all the cards and you went to the bathroom for 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
15
Come
minutes.
on.
I'm pretty proud of that. Thank you.
Well, you had to go to the bathroom too. So I mean,
Oh.
you turned on the water. You know.
I'm gonna take a bath. I'll be back. This is the same bathtub
Don't
Josh
do
took a
that in the
picture in the
bath.
next
That's
day
not fair.
for our Patreon campaign.
I can't get out of the bathroom. I'm stuck.
Why did I agree to this?
Thank God I'm wearing a robe.
And only a robe.
Wow.
Oh,
It's the adult version of
Josh got out. He
Pokemon.
thought he was pregnant. It's so weird. All right, everybody. I don't have anything else to say, so that's the end of the
That note.
podcast. Thank
We're
you
done.
for hanging out with us. We'll see you next week. Bye, everybody. Bye,
See
Sebastian.
ya.
Bye, Josh.
See ya.
Bye-bye.